Hello. Hey. Hello, hello, hello. Hope everyone's doing well today. Huh? Goodness gracious. Oh. Yeah. Sorry. It's been a minute since I've seen all of you. Sorry, I gotta get myself into, well, simply just a better mood. Just life, life's crazy. And also, when you watch a Netflix show by the name of Squid Game, and you just leave it off on like one of just the, let's be honest, the saddest episodes. Oh, the game's good. The game is good. The show is very good. Absolutely love it. Those battle royale type shows are good. Not too many people, like, not too many like places like, well, I guess like there was the one that came out, and the guy from Walking Dead, he's like the lead character in the office building. It's like something experiment. It's like the Belko experiment. I think I'm missing it. But yeah, what was it? Watched a little bit of that and just got mortified. Oh my goodness, I am a sensitive person. I very much am. And I got almost like, I think I almost got like 2 episodes left, so yeah. Try not to spoil too much, but goodness, my heart was torn into shreds. And sometimes like you call those, like that's the worst part too, is like when you call out the episode too. I didn't get like exactly right, but to say I didn't hit the nail on the head, yeah, it was a lot. Just like emotionally exhausted right now. But don't worry, we still got a whole bunch to do, but no, we got it all going on. For right now, let me tell you everything that's went by. First of all, hi, hello, I missed you. If you are brand new to the place, hello, my name is Professor Void. We like to scurry around the internet, and now we're kind of hitting the specifics. We like to look through Wikipedia and the millions of articles and try to figure out all the weird shit that we find with. I just found a list of crazy shit that we need to figure out. Also, I already got like a little thing in the back cooking up for specifically for October, because fall season's coming and I'm so excited for it. So yeah, I'm super excited to see like what in the hell that's gonna bring and stuff like that. Kind of a little bit like a horror theme maybe, so that's gonna be super fun. I'm super excited for it. I can't wait for you to come by and join in. And I definitely want to try to stream more often, at least like more of these topics and stuff. Even like, more episodes of Less Learn and stuff. We're definitely hitting our goal. What was it? I think like before the end of this year, I'd like to hit 20 episodes. And right now, I mean, we're already up to 15, so yay. So super excited about that part. And what was it? Again, reached 100 subscribers on the YouTube channel. We're about to hit 50 on the Twitch, so I'm amped. I'm very happy about that. So there's so much more to do, and I can't wait to kind of just figure out like what other stuff that we got. So like no matter what, like we got articles upon articles to read and stuff and to focus on. And if there's trending topics, if you're new here, go ahead and post them onto it. We have a Discord channel, go ahead and join it. What was it? YouTube to check out the highlights and stuff like that, because there's a lot of time out in the day, and so you can't really dedicate too much to the Twitch live stuff. But if you are here live, hello, welcome. But yeah, I recently just came off a week week break, and it was good. It was good. Got to see family, which was always good. And like, especially rarely now, it's like you gotta pick and choose when you want to have like hashing out moments, because since it gets down to the point where it's like you meet people on rare occasions, so like, is it always going to be those moments where it's just like, hey, we gotta talk about everything and stuff, like with family members, especially some that you had conflict with, and that's always something to be kind of like intimidated about. And so, certain people you're always trying to talk with and figure out what to hash out and stuff. And no, it was all good. Lovely time. Lovely time. Went to a wedding. All right. Went to gender reveal. Don't worry. No forest burned down on this one. So we're good on that. I was freaked out because we went to actual, like, a national park, and I was just like, oh, we're gonna just like, are we about to burn this whole place to the ground? Like, I don't know. Just like, I'm kind of freaking out about this. No, we're good. We're fine. So, but yeah, it was a good week. Good week, much needed quality time. Yeah, but it feels good to be back. Oh, feels so good to be back. And of course, like, you always get those family members where it's just like, are you staying there? Like, yeah. All right. But no time to waste. Let's go ahead and get into this, okay? So, we're talking about a big old subject today, and I did not know there was too much of a problem with it until you started figuring out about the national, I guess it was a world holiday that people will kind of celebrate, and that is tourism. It is a happy World Tourism Day. And at first I was thinking about diving into like certain like political factors, or like, what was it? I kind of want to always like talk about a person, and there's plenty of interesting people to talk about. That's the kind of biggest part, is like, I want to make sure it's interesting for you all. But I think we got it. And of course, look at that. We got a wonderful photo here from, and again, if you're not already known, I use WikiWan to kind of update a little bit of that UI, make it nice and pretty. And so we have the things here. Also, by the way, gotta give a shout out, because I believe we have some new students here. Speaking of which, let's see here. I think we already have it listed here, but what was that? Reed J, 35. Haranix, and Value Base. Thank you. Welcome. Hello. Thank you for joining the student curriculum here. I'm very happy to see you here. I hope you have a wonderful time and you enjoyed the stream. So, let's see here. Let's get that right back up. All right. And so, let's continue on with today's lesson of tourism. Now, what is it? At least like what I'm thinking about, like at least like with tourism, is that like I think it's ultimately a good thing. I think people coming together from all around the world, checking out places, I think it's amazing. I think people like visiting other places. Like, I think, what was it? The farthest place I've been to was, went to Italy. And Venice was such a gorgeous place. I went on like an artist trip. And it was good. It was much needed too, because I was running around and stuff like that, and it was always crazy. So, when you have a bunch of students together, it's always like, you got teachers ready to beat the shit out of you. But then I just turned, I just turned 16? No, I think I just turned 18. And that's what the drinking age was. I know there's you could be 16 in certain areas and that'll work out. You can have a couple pints, but I was 18 when I went over to the motherland. Nah, actually, I think like my third German. So I think that's where, if I was going to have like a place of origin, that was probably going to be the number one spot. I would love to go to Germany. Oh my gosh. I wonder, as I say, yeah, students and like people watching, like, what do you think? Like, what do you think would be the greatest place to travel for you? Because I know, that's the greatest thing about touring, is I think that, because you can vacation, and like tourism is the trailer to the actual place. Okay, if you're going to some place that you feel like you would be sketched out in, or if it's like too far, that gives you anxiety and stuff, go on like a tourist group, join a big group, hang out with people, get an expert in the area, just like how those artist trips in a lot of schools do. That's the easiest. That's the easiest way and safest way. Going there by yourself and like trying to backpack it and stuff like that, that is expert level. You really do have to know people into that and stuff. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and see what Brian, can you please tell us what is up? What does Wikipedia say about tourism?
Tourism. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Tourism is travel for pleasure or business, also the theory and practice of touring, the business of attracting, accommodating, and entertaining tourists, and the business of operating tours. The World Tourism Organization defines tourism more generally, in terms which go beyond the common perception of tourism as being limited to holiday activity only. As people traveling to and staying in places outside their usual environment for not more than one consecutive year for leisure and not less than 24 hours, business and other purposes. Tourism can be domestic, within the traveler's own country, or international, and international tourism has both incoming and outgoing implications on a country's balance of payments.
See, I was just about to say, like tourism doesn't have to be like international, especially like, gosh, if you live in the U.S., goodness. Like, the U.S. has such a diverse geography and just people in certain areas that it's just like food and stuff, and like it's a big old melting pot, whether it be through voluntarily or forcefully. I mean, that's neither here nor there. But what was it? If your spawn point was America, you're very lucky on at least like the amount of allowed travel. Like if you just have a license, not even that. If you just have some cash, then you can just jump on a plane, train, automobile, whatever it might be. You can hitchhike. I know there's Twitch streamers that do that too. So yeah. And what did it say? Like, tourism has both incoming and outgoing implications on countries' balance of payment. Oh, yeah. A lot of countries just survive solely on tourism.
Tourism numbers declined as a result of a strong economic slowdown, the late 2000s recession, between the second half of 2008 and the end of 2009, and in consequence of the outbreak of the 2009 H1N1 influenza virus, but slowly recovered until the COVID-19 pandemic put an abrupt end to the growth. The United Nations World Tourism Organization estimated that global international tourist arrivals might decrease by 58% to 78% in 2020, leading to a potential loss of 90 US cents. 1.2 trillion in international tourism receipts.
Brian, come on, you can't just assume that's sorry, that just like cracked me up. Just like, I know it's 0.9, but for him to say just like we have no idea like what the actual loss is, it may be 9 cents. It's like, oh okay, that's like nowhere near a loss to 1.1 trillion dollars. Like, okay, there it is.
Globally, international tourism receipts, the travel item in balance of payments, grew to 1.03 trillion US dollars, 740 billion euros, in 2005, corresponding to an increase in real terms of 3.8% from 2010. International tourist arrivals surpassed the milestone of 1 billion tourists globally for the first time in 2012. Emerging source markets such as China, Russia, and Brazil had significantly increased their spending over the previous decade.
See, like that makes me think too, just like on certain countries where it might be like more at least like underdeveloped, like, oh, that is like, that's such a big thing with tourism, like, because like, you know, you have is, I'm trying to be specific on what I'm trying to say here, because there's gentrification, right? And I wonder how much you can allow through tourism. You know what I mean? Which I know, like I saw like previously, like in the article, like there's like ethical tourism. So like I want to know, like, how do you ride that line? Or is there a line and it's just two sides? There's just tourism and there's gentrification to force. Well, I'm already correcting myself in the middle of this, just because now I understand that like gentrification, I feel like is more. It's more into living, but no, I think it's never mind. I think it's no matter what, it's the company's fault on just forcing the area to be more tourism, and they're taking away people's houses from that. So no matter what, it's just a problem. And you can still have tourism and open the places and give that money back to the community, and not just these hotel corporations with timeshares and stuff like that, because people are all uppity. You can still have a beach, just be able to walk a couple blocks. You don't have to have your what was it? Hotel on the beach. I know people want the luxury, and it is nice, but it's just like there's a time and a place for that, and it doesn't have to require forcing people outside to live outside. Which, granted, also, like, I know there's like other forms of gentrification too, but I think like that's specifically one. You know, feel free to correct me too if I'm like either I'm butchering something onto this. But let's get right back onto it. Bam. Because what was it? Global, and also the money. $1.1 trillion in just that year of just tourism. I wonder what was the highest amount of tourism. Like, as like planes got involved, so now you have commercial and stuff. I wonder what was the highest amount.
International tourist arrivals surpassed the milestone of 1 billion tourists globally for the first time in 2012. Emerging source markets such as China, Russia, and Brazil had significantly increased their spending over the previous decade.
Right, that was my original point. Is because of like gentrification and all that. I wonder how these third world countries or just underdeveloped countries, like if they're trying to like, you know, get their money back because they're forcing it through, and it's like and they're debating like, oh, is that sacrifice well worth it? Which it's not, of course, but like, yeah, there's that part to think about.
Global tourism accounts for circa 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Emissions as well as other significant environmental and social impacts that are not always beneficial to local communities and their economies. For this reason, many tourist development organizations have begun to focus on sustainable tourism in order to mitigate negative effects caused by the growing impact of tourism. The United Nations World Tourism Organization emphasized these practices by promoting tourism as part of the Sustainable Development Goals. Through programs like the International Year for Sustainable Tourism for Development in 2017, and programs like Tourism for SDGs focusing on how SDG 8, SDG 12 and SDG 14 implicate tourism in creating a sustainable economy.
Well, you just can't throw these acronyms at me and ask like I shouldn't know about them. Sustainable Development Goal 12. Oh. Sustainable tourism and development. Internationally. Oh. Okay. What are the... Now you have my attention. Sustainable Development Growth. Sustainable Development Growth Goal 8, or Global Goal 8, is about decent work and economic growth. It is one of the 17 sustainable goals which were established by the United Nations General Assembly in 2015. The full title is to foster sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Progress towards the target will be measured and evaluated by 17 indicators. Oh, what's the 12th one? The 12th is about responsible consumption and production. It is one of the 17 sustainable... Okay, just consumption. All right. And then what do we got? It's about life below water. It's a very one. And it's about the 17 sustainable development goals established by the United Nations. Okay. The official wording is to conserve and sustainable use. The official wording is to conserve and sustainably use the ocean, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Oh. All right, okay. Creating a sustainable economy. Environment, economy, social. Bearable, equitable, viable, sustainable. Ooh. You know we're all about that sustainable part.
Etymology. The English language word tourist was used in 1772 and tourism in 1811. These words derive from the word tour, which comes from Old English turion, from Old French tourner, from Latin tournere, to turn on a lathe, which is itself from ancient Greek tornos, tauro nu omicron sigma, lathe. Definitions. In 1936, the League of Nations defined a foreign tourist as someone traveling abroad for at least 24 hours. Its successor, the United Nations, amended this definition in 1945, by including a maximum stay of 6 months. In 1941, Hunziker and Kraft defined tourism as the sum of the phenomena and relationships arising from the travel and stay of non-residents, insofar as they do not lead to permanent residence and are not connected with any earning activity. In 1976, the Tourism Society of England's definition was, tourism is the temporary, short-term movement of people to destinations outside the places where they normally live and work and their activities during the stay at each destination. It includes movements for all purposes.
This shit is like, what was it? It's like the equivalent of, it's the equivalent of like me trying to reach the 700 word count of my essay. And it's just like, besides saying tourism, I'm just saying like, oh, we definitely have a problem with the short-term movement of people to destination outside the place where they live, where they normally live and work, and their activities during the day. Wait, and their what? Fuck me, I am losing my mind. See, this is why I don't read. This is why I don't read. That's why I have Brian read this, because I am going to butcher all of this. Yeah, you can see that. That's why. Like, even my stumbling would add 400 words to it, to an already 700 word essay. It includes movement for all purposes.
It includes movements for all purposes. In 1981, the International Association of Scientific Experts in Tourism defined tourism in terms of particular activities chosen and undertaken outside the home. In 1994, the United Nations identified 3 forms of tourism in its recommendations on tourism statistics. Domestic tourism, involving residents of the given country traveling only within this country. Inbound tourism, involving non-residents traveling in the given country. Outbound tourism, involving residents traveling in another country. Other groupings derived from the above grouping. National tourism, a combination of domestic and outbound tourism. Regional tourism, a combination of domestic and inbound tourism. International tourism, a combination of inbound and outbound tourism. The terms tourism and travel are sometimes used interchangeably. In this context, travel has a similar definition to tourism but implies a more purposeful journey. The terms tourism and tourist are sometimes used pejoratively, to imply a shallow interest in the cultures or locations visited. By contrast, traveler is often used as a sign of distinction. The sociology of tourism has studied the cultural values underpinning these distinctions and their implications for class relations.
I wonder if that's like kind of a like a big debated topic, just like you're fucking tourist. I am just simply a what was it? I'm just simply a guy touring. Just something around those lines. Probably not. Let's see. Ooh, tourism products.
Tourism products. According to the World Tourism Organization, a tourism product is a combination of tangible and intangible elements, such as natural, cultural and man-made resources, attractions, facilities, services and activities around a specific center of interest which represents the core of the destination marketing mix and creates an overall visitor experience including emotional aspects for the potential customers. A tourism product is priced and sold through distribution channels and it has a life cycle.
Yeah, or it's a guy trying to shove products in your face, or the guy painting the building and stuff like that. Or it's a guy telling you, just like, hey, wow, this watch looks really, like, hey, is this your watch? Ma'am, is this your watch? Just like, no. So I think this is your watch. Oh yeah, look, it looks so nice to you. Wow. They're selling you that. Oh, they're trying to sell you that whole type of thing. Another guy is all up in your purse. Not talking about your vagina, I'm talking about your actual purse, but yeah. Gotta be careful with those products.
Tourism product covers a wide variety of services including Accommodation services from low-cost homestays to 5-star hotels. Hospitality services including food and beverage serving centers. Healthcare services like massage. All modes of transport, its booking and rental. Travel agencies, guided tours and tourist guides. Cultural services such as religious monuments, museums, and historical places. Shopping. International tourism. International tourism over time. International tourism is tourism that crosses national borders.
Holy shit. Like, why, like, okay. You're not about to tell me, like, nobody was not traveling. International tourism? Oh, I'm sorry. Like, I guess, like, people... I guess, like, during this section, it was more of a forceful tourism, right? I feel like that's certain historians would look into that, right? They take that. Oh, no. What was it? That's funny. 1950, and it starts going into that World Tourism Organization. I know there had to have been people traveling. There still was ships back in the day. So, like no one was traveling since 1950. Bitch, there was traders. Well, I guess I get with their definition. I guess you can say, yeah, people were on the more leisurely end of traveling, but still.
International tourism is tourism that crosses national borders. Globalization has made tourism a popular global leisure activity. The World Tourism Organization defines tourists as people traveling to and staying in places outside their usual environment for not more than one consecutive year for leisure, business and other purposes. The World Health Organization, WHO, estimates that up to 500,000 people are in flight at any one time. Modern aviation has made it possible to travel long distances quickly. In 2010, international tourism reached $919 billion, growing 6.5% over 2009, corresponding to an increase in real terms of 4.7%. In 2010, there were over 940 million international tourist arrivals worldwide.
Nice.
By 2016, that number had risen to 1,235 million, producing $1,220 billion in destination spending. The COVID-19 crisis had significant negative effects on international tourism, significantly slowing the overall increasing trend. Impacts on the environment. Problems created by air travel. Basis. The economic foundations of tourism are...
Okay, hold up. Go fuck yourself onto that one.
International tourism has significant impacts on the environment, exacerbated in part by the problems created by air travel, but also by other issues, including wealthy tourists bringing lifestyles that stress local infrastructure, water and trash systems among others.
Very true.
Basis.
Okay, now we can
the
get back
economic
to this.
foundations of tourism are essentially the cultural assets, the cultural property and the nature of the travel location. The World Heritage Sites are particularly worth mentioning today because they are real tourism magnets. But even a country's current or former form of government can be decisive for tourism. For example, the fascination of the British royal family brings millions of tourists to Great Britain every year and thus the economy around £550 million a year. The Habsburg family can be mentioned in Central Europe. According to estimates, the Habsburg brand should generate tourism sales of €60 million per year for Vienna alone. The tourist principle Habsburg sells applies. History. Antiquity.
Well, there you go. Well, yeah, of course people want to see the Royal British. The Royal British, British. All right, the British royal family. I think it's almost on the fact that, like, people just, like, want to be there, like, in the moment. Just, like, right when the queen just, like, kicks it. Because what was it? She's like 90 right now? And Philip, Jesus. That man passed. Like their whole lineage was like based off of like dating cousins and stuff like that. Like it's... Whew, boy, that's a lot.
History. Antiquity. See also, travel literature. Travel outside a person's local area for leisure was largely confined to wealthy classes, who at times traveled to distant parts of the world.
And white.
Travel outside a person's local area for leisure was largely confined to wealthy classes, who at times traveled to distant parts of the world, to see great buildings and works of art, learn new languages, experience new cultures, enjoy pristine nature and to taste different cuisines. As early as Shulgi, however,
I'm thinking more of like, if we're thinking of like more like 1950s, granted again, there was plenty of people migrating and just going through different towns. Definitely, like at the beginning of OG civilizations, of course, you know, people from Africa, migration, and just there's But tourism, like for leisure, I feel like that was very much elitist type stuff, aka white sometimes.
Learn new languages, experience new cultures, enjoy pristine nature and to taste different cuisines. As early as Shulgi, however, kings praised themselves for protecting roads and building way stations for travelers. Traveling for pleasure can be seen in Egypt as early on as 1500 BC during the Roman Republic. Spas and coastal resorts such as Baiae were popular among the rich.
I stand corrected.
The Roman upper class used to spend their free
Here I am thinking just like, again, no, it's still elitist, but all right. I mean, if it was going to be anybody, it was definitely going to be Egypt. Like, Egypt's definitely going to be building the spas, the skincare, the massages. Like, yeah, totally.
The Roman upper class used to spend their free time on land or at sea and traveled to their Villa Urbana or Villa Maritima. Numerous villas were located in Campania, around Rome and in the northern part of the Adriatic as in Barcola near Trieste. Pausanias wrote his description of Greece in the 2nd century AD in ancient China. Nobles sometimes made a point of visiting Mount Tai and, on occasion, all 5 sacred mountains.
That's gotta be brutal though. Like, you're still telling me that, like, people were still wanted to travel back in those days? Dude, fuck no. Like, what, no medicine? No medicine, no signs, no tour guide, no Wi-Fi? You're telling me that, like, oh, I'm just gonna get my fucking sandals on? We're gonna hop on a boat, take a month trip out to some fucking island? Like, granted, yes, I know it's royalty. Of course, they have the money to bring in all the food and, like, the servants and stuff like that, but fuck that. You died, like, you died sometimes because a stick cut your shin, and then next thing you know, like, what was it? You always heard about, like, Achilles. Just like, oh, he was a star athlete and stuff like, bitch, because you didn't have any fucking medicine back then. Like, now. So, would you like to go to our villa? To go check out, to eat some grapes and stuff like that? Like, no, fucker. Like, there's some mountain lions over there. Our villa is not properly secured. There's no guard. Like, there's no, like, guard out there to, like, protect. Okay, we haven't properly killed off the wildlife. Okay, we haven't properly pushed out all the indigenous people out of the area and stuff like that. There's probably tribes there waiting to burn the place down. Like, fuck no. Well, maybe. I mean, they probably did that because they had massive armies back then. So, and then Egypt with the whole slavery building the pyramids thing. So, maybe they already had the manpower for that. But still, fuck that. Yeah, what? I scraped my knee and then I had to get it chopped off? Nah, fuck that. No. Yeah, well, let's see what's up with the Middle Ages then.
Middle Ages. By the Middle Ages, Christianity and Buddhism and Islam had traditions of pilgrimage. Chaucer's Canterbury Tales and Wu Chun'un's Journey to the West remain classics of English and Chinese literature. The 10th to 13th century Song dynasty also saw secular travel writers such as Su Shi, 11th century, and Fan Chengde, 12th century, become popular in China. Under the Ming, Xu Ziyake continued the practice. In medieval Italy, Francesco Petrarch also wrote an allegorical account of his 1336 ascent of Mount Venta that praised the act of traveling and criticized Frigido in Curiositas, cold lack of curiosity. The Burgundian poet Michael Tavan, Fr., later composed his own horrified recollections of a 1430 trip through the Jura Mountains. Grand Tour.
God.
See also, Grand Tour. Modern tourism can
Through the Jura Mountains. Sicilian. Are a subalpine mountain range short distance north of the West Alps. A mini demarcate? A long part of the French-Swiss border, the east of the range, separate the Rhine. The horrified regulations of a 1430 trip. Jeez. Why did my ass think that, like, oh, this is his 1430th time through the Jura Mountains? It's like, motherfucker, that's not a leisurely trip.
Grand Tour. See also, Grand Tour. Modern tourism can be traced to what was known as the Grand Tour, which was a traditional trip around Europe, especially Germany and Italy, undertaken by mainly upper-class European young men of means, mainly from Western and Northern European countries. In 1624, the young Prince of Poland, Ladislaus Sigismund Vasa, the eldest son of Sigismund III, embarked on a journey across Europe, as was in custom among Polish nobility. He traveled through territories of today's Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, where he admired the siege of Breda by Spanish forces, France, Switzerland to Italy, Austria, and the Czech Republic. It was an educational journey, and one of the outcomes was introduction of Italian opera in the Polish, Lithuanian Commonwealth. The custom flourished from about 1660 until the advent of large-scale rail transit in the 1840s and generally followed a standard itinerary. It was an educational opportunity and rite of passage. Though primarily associated with the British nobility and wealthy landed gentry, similar trips were made by wealthy young men of Protestant Northern European nations on the continent. And from the second half of the 18th century some South American, US, and other overseas youth joined in. The tradition was extended to include more of the middle class after rail and steamship travel made the journey easier, and Thomas Cook made the Cook's Tour a byword. The Grand Tour became a real status symbol for upper-class students in the 18th and 19th centuries. In this period, Johann Joachim Winckelmann's theories about the supremacy of classic culture
Sorry, I just chuckled at this guy named Winckelmann. This pioneer whose first article, Difference Between Greco-Roman, Roman Art.
Artists, writers, and travelers, such as Goethe, affirmed the supremacy of classic art, of which Italy, France, and Greece provide excellent examples. For these reasons, the Grand Tour's main destinations were to those centers where upper-class students could find rare examples of classic art and history. The New
Yeah. A Grand Tour, that would be dope. So, what, it's just to hit up all these places, I guess? Alright. No, that's not too bad. I'm down. I'm totally down to check it out. Take a little bit of a gander on that one. Sorry. Had to check on something real quick. Making sure the music was good. And so the New York Times recently
described the Grand Tour in this way. 300 years ago, wealthy young Englishmen began taking a post-Oxbridge trek through France and Italy in search of art, culture and the roots of Western civilization. With nearly unlimited funds, aristocratic connections and months, or years, to Rome, they commissioned paintings, perfected their language skills and mingled with the upper crust of the continent. Kuros, Matt, Lessons from the Frugal Grand Tour. New York Times, the 5th of September 2008.
That would be dope. If you could actually, I mean, like, that's kind of the ultimate goal for a bunch of travel people, but oh my gosh. I like how it's just like months, even years, just like, yeah, because again, you're traveling all through that rail and ship. God, I couldn't, like, what was it, take 2 months just to get past the Atlantic? What is the average? Like, what was it? Via ship, how long would it take to cross, let's just say, the Atlantic? And what was it? Well, these are guys were like 18th century? Okay. So yeah, 1700. Franklin discovered early on that he didn't suffer from sickness, which was good, as the perilous transatlantic crossing usually took at least 6 weeks and could take as long as 2 to 3 months just to cross the Atlantic. Yeah, you bet your ass a lot of these I bet these Europeans just stuck within the same continent. And then at that point, then you can just do a bunch of traveling. But if you're hopping on over to the Atlantic side, shit. That's a lot. That's a lot, peeps. Couldn't handle that much. No. So at least 6 weeks. At least 6 weeks. Dude, I'll lose my mind if I don't have anything to do. Like, what do you do on a ship for 6 weeks? I guess read. I guess you just read a shit ton. That's something I want to, like, look up on, like, that'd be like a quick thing to do. I'll probably post it on Twitter or something. Just like, what did people do on these long trips through? I want to figure it out about that.
The primary value of the Grand Tour, it was believed, laid in the exposure both to the cultural legacy of classical antiquity and the Renaissance, and to the aristocratic and fashionably polite society of the European continent.
That would make sense. Classical antiquity. This period of cultural history between the 8th laid in the exposure both to culture. Oh, so it was all these rich people going around traveling, writing in their books and stuff like that. Oh, cool. So hey, you know what? The rich did provide something. They exposed the Renaissance to us. Because how in the world were we able to get connected through all these pieces of art and stuff like that if it wasn't for these rich boys and stuff? So you know what? Hey, you be happy. Okay? Don't say that the rich never did anything for you. I'm gonna stop talking on that part. The emergence of leisure travel. Okay. Oh, look at this. I like that. That's funny. Look at this guy's face. I love it. So you see that? You see the shot that I did back there? Fucking hooked it right up. It's like, yes, dearie, I see it. Oh no, fuck it. Yes, dearie, I do see it. I just can't hear you over my plaid pants. They're so fucking loud. So, but no, I fucking shot right over that. Yeah, he probably defeated him in the b-ball game. Just like you failed me so many times. Just like, I love that. She's like, I can't believe I'm dating this fucking loser. It's a very nice painting. That's pretty funny though. Ah.
Leisure travel was associated with the Industrial Revolution in the United Kingdom, the first European country to promote leisure time to the increasing industrial population. Initially, this applied to the owners of the machinery of production, the economic oligarchy, factory owners and traders. These comprised the new middle class. Cox and Kings was the first official travel company to be formed in 1758. The British origin of this new industry is reflected in many place names. In Nice, France, one of the first and best established holiday resorts on the French Riviera, the long esplanade along the seafront is known to this day as the Promenade des Anglais. In many other historic resorts in continental Europe, old, well-established palace hotels have names like the Hotel Bristol, Hotel Carlton, or Hotel Majestic, reflecting the dominance of English customers.
Imagine being one of these aristocrat type people and trying to explain why you were gone for 6 months. Trying to explain to more working class people. Oh no, we took a trip. Just for 6 months. It's yes, we took a leisurely travel. But what'd you do? Did you have to go trade in different markets or something like that? They didn't have a spice or something you need? No, we just ate delicacies and just meandered about. Yes. So that sounds wasteful. That sounds stupid. What? Did you drink? Oh yes, but only lightly. Didn't want to get too brandish. And the most historic resorts of continental Europe.
A pioneer of the travel agency business, Thomas Cook's idea to offer excursions came to him while waiting for the stagecoach on the London Road at Kidworth. With the opening of the extended Midland Counties Railway, he arranged to take a group of 540 temperance campaigners from Leicester Campbell Street Station to a rally in Loughborough, 11 miles, 18 kilometers, away.
Alright, we're already colonizing the world and invading, but now I want to see what we invaded and influenced. Yes. But I don't want to walk there, no. No, I don't want to take a ship either. Daddy, can you have the people up top build a railway so me and my friends can go over to the people grandpappy enslaved and so I want to see all the exotic plants. I want a monkey that goes ooh ooh. It's like, right, son, yes, I'll talk to the United Nations. Just like, I want to see the ocean and all the yucky fish. Right, son, yes. Or you'll have some of those other people where it's like, just like, I want to understand all these cultures and stuff. And like, we must understand every which one of them. Or you could just be a religious crusader and you want to push a religion on all of the tribal people out front. That's another way to do it. Either way, the rich bourgeoisie travel was very specific. I want to see the land we invaded. That's funny. He's just sitting there, just like waiting, just like, I wish. That would be awful. That would be awful if just like one of the guys' servants, is just like, where are you from, dear lad? Just like, I'm from, I don't know, but it's a big touristy spot. That's not really touristy. Pakistan. Yeah, I'm from Pakistan. And it's just like, I never heard of the place. Where is it? And just like, it's, and he's just thinking like, shit. Like, it's nowhere. It's just down the street. I live right down the neighborhood. So like, no, I think that's a country. I've never been to that one. I may have to get there soon. Oh God.
With the opening of the extended Midland Counties Railway, he arranged to take a group of 540 temperance campaigners from Leicester Campbell Street Station to a rally in Loughborough, 11 miles, 18 kilometres, away. On the 5th of July 1841, Thomas Cook arranged for the rail company to charge 1 shilling per person. This included rail tickets and food for the journey. Cook was paid a share of the fares charged to the passengers, as the railway tickets, being legal contracts between company and passenger, could not have been issued at his own price. This was the first privately chartered excursion train to be advertised to the general public. Cook himself acknowledged that there had been previous, unadvertised, private excursion trains. During the following 3 summers he planned and conducted outings for temperance societies and Sunday school children. In 1844, the Midland Counties Railway Company agreed to make a permanent arrangement with him, provided he found the passengers. This success led him to start his own business running rail excursions for pleasure, taking a percentage of the railway fares. In 1855, he planned...
Wow. So like, just 1 shilling? So you found the this was, wait a minute. Cook was paid a share of the fares charged to the passengers as the railway tickets, being legal contract. Shilling. The shilling is a historical coin. I'm just trying to figure out, like, arranged for the rail company to charge 1 shilling per person. This include rail tickets and food for the journey. Okay. I feel like a shilling's cheap, right? A fat shilling.
In 1855, he planned his first excursion abroad, when he took a group from Leicester to Calais to coincide with the Paris exhibition. The following year he started his grand circular tours of Europe. During the 1860s he took parties to Switzerland, Italy, Egypt, and the United States. Cook established inclusive independent travel, whereby the traveller went independently but his agency charged for travel, food, and accommodation for a fixed period over any chosen route. Such was his success that the Scottish railway companies withdrew their support between 1862 and 1863 to try the excursion business for themselves. Significance of tourism. The tourism industry, as part...
That's pretty crazy though. It's like you just kind of got this shit together and then next thing you know, boom. People are moving all around the place. How, like, again, you're barely traveling in the areas. And, like, next thing you know, you're going, like, you're telling me that you're just like, yeah, dude, I went to a different fucking country. Like, what? It's like, what, like a country club or something? Like, no. Like, dude, like you are not going to believe this. There are more people out there. Like, there's like a shit ton more people. So you see all the news and stuff like that. Like, what were you talking about? Like, what, are you talking like 100? Dude, I'm talking like thousands. Yeah. Talking like fucking thousands, dude. Like, you want? I don't even think I can fucking count that high. Like, I know, dude. There was at least 100 people on the ship that I was going with me. I thought, like, dude, swear to God, I thought when we were on the ship going to United States, stuff like that. I thought we were gonna fall off the edge of the earth. All right, I know that we've been burning people since the world was round, but dude, I think it's legit. Like, already thinking that, like, going to a different city is like travel, and now you're just accepting the fact that, like, oh yeah, like, dude, there's like different countries, which like Europe, again, like, a different country is just like a different state. It's all around. But again, people that, like, didn't know much about travel, their life existed within blocks of each other. That's wild. And then next thing you know, you're hopping on a train, and then you're going to something, first of all, completely different. Imagine seeing a tree that you never saw before. You probably didn't even, like, back in the day, you probably couldn't afford the picture book for that photo of that different tree that you didn't see, like a palm tree. Next thing you know, you're about to actually go to that specific spot. That is wild. It's dope. You know, I love travel. You just gotta do it ethically, which we're about to figure out here on seeing the significance of what tourism does.
Significance of tourism. The tourism industry, as part of the service sector, has become an important source of income for many regions and even for entire countries. The Manila Declaration on World Tourism of 1980 recognized its importance as an activity essential to the life of nations because of its direct effects on the social, cultural, educational, and economic sectors of national societies, and on their international relations. Tourism brings large amounts of income into a local economy in the form of payment for goods and services needed by tourists, accounting as of 2011 for 30% of the world's trade in services, and, as an invisible export, for 6% of overall exports of goods and services. It also generates opportunities for employment in the service sector of the economy associated with tourism. It is also...
Hold up. Claim that travel broadens the mind. I would very much accept that. But invisible export, invisible balance, the invisible balance or balance of trade on services that part of the balance of... Bitch, hold up. That was what? That was a lot of balance. The invisible balance or balance of trade on services is that part of the balance of trade that refers to services and other products that do not result in the transfer of physical objects. Examples include consulting service, shipping services, tourism, and patent licenses. Oh, gotcha. So shit that should be free. Gotcha. Cool.
The hospitality industries which benefit from tourism include transportation services, such as airlines, cruise ships, trains and taxi cabs, lodging, including hotels, hostels, homestays, resorts and renting out rooms, and entertainment venues, such as amusement parks, restaurants, casinos, shopping malls, music venues, and theaters. This is in addition to goods bought by tourists, including souvenirs. On the flip side, tourism can degrade people and sour relationships between host and guest. The economic foundations of tourism are essentially the cultural assets,
What's up,
the cultural
DW?
property and the nature of the travel location. The World Heritage Sites are particularly worth mentioning today because they are real tourism magnets. But even a country's current or former form of government can be decisive for tourism.
We're learning about tourism right now. We just got done figuring out how, like, back in the day, how they afforded it. Of course, you know, it was definitely the bourgeoisie that went out and traveled, but now we're kind of learning about the significance on just blatantly just whole countries survive off of the tourism and stuff. And I'm kind of like, I'm very interested on trying to figure out, like, where's the line cross, you know, when, like, people are almost ruining the country from tourism because it's too much of it. It's a whole thing.
But even a country's current or former form of government can be decisive for tourism. For example, the fascination of the British royal family brings millions of tourists to Great Britain every year and thus the economy around £550 million a year. The Habsburg family can be mentioned in Central Europe. According to estimates, the Habsburg brand should generate tourism sales of €60 million per year for Vienna alone.
Damn.
The tourist principle Habsburg sells applies. Tourism, cultural heritage and UNESCO. Cultural and natural heritage are in many cases the absolute basis for worldwide tourism. Cultural tourism is one of the megatrends that is reflected in massive numbers of overnight stays and sales. As UNESCO is increasingly observing, the cultural heritage is needed for tourism, but also endangered by it. The icon.
I was gonna say, what is UNESCO? Hey, thanks, man. Thank you. Like, love what we're doing here. Hope you have a wonderful day and stuff like that. Thanks for the love. You also have a good day, okay? Thank you. Let's see. What the hell is United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization? Damn. It's like, is a specialized agency, United Nations, aimed at promoting world peace and security through international corporations and education science. Okay. It has 193 member states and 11 associate members, as well as partners in non-governmental, intergovernmental, and private sector. Cool. I wonder... Hello? Get the... Hey. Up here, good sir. Up here. Keep your eyes there. Don't be dipping. Alright. UNESCO. The UNES. No, I'm going to say UNESCO. That's dope.
The ICOMOS, International Cultural Tourism Charter from 1999 is already dealing with all of these problems. As a result of the tourist hazard, for example, the Lascaux Cave was rebuilt for tourists. Overtourism is an important buzzword in this area. Furthermore, the focus of UNESCO in war zones is to ensure the protection of cultural heritage in order to maintain this future important economic basis for the local population. And there is intensive cooperation between UNESCO, the United Nations Peacekeeping and Blue Shield International. There are extensive international and national considerations, studies and programs to protect cultural assets from the effects of tourism and those from war. In particular, it is also about training civilian and military personnel. But the involvement of the locals is particularly important. The founding president of Blue Shield International, Karl von Habsburg, summed it up with the words, "Without the local community and without the local participants, that would be completely impossible."
Okay. Was it? We're gonna go ahead and save that. Oh, holy shit! Actually, okay. Specific rant onto this one. I done that. I was here. I was probably like right where like that old guy was, and I saw the Mona Lisa, and it is just as you see it here, completely blah. Like, granted, the story behind it is very interesting. Sell the story. Okay, it's got stolen twice, it survived wars, and it was super cool. But literally, if you would just turn 180 degrees, there's a painting there. Well, at least when I went there, because I don't know if they like switch it up and stuff like that, because they have like certain parts of it. But if you turn, there's a huge fucking painting that is like, I would say almost, oh gosh, I would like, it's feet. Like the measurements are in feet, several feet. And it was huge, and it's just whole magical scenery and stuff. And granted, again, you know, Da Vinci, like there's a lot of just speculation with the painting and stuff like that. I get it. But I'll be honest, you're not missing much. All right. It's a staple there. Just check out the museum in general. I think this is like, what was it? I was literally about to say Les Mis, but I don't know. I don't know which one was it. And you can tell this is dated and stuff like that. Look at that fucking Samsung there. Look at that Samsung. What was it? That's like the Note 1 and stuff like that. Look at the iPhone there. You can tell. You can tell that's an old iPhone. You can tell. See, like, if anything, you already know it's dated because the like cameras are still part of it. Like, yeah, you got some phones, but you still have normal ass cameras being part of it. Yeah, that looks like an iPhone That's like an iPhone fucking like 3. You can still see the like speaker right on top of that. Yeah. Look at this girl doesn't know. This girl doesn't know. This guy looking at his picture just like, fuck yeah. I just totally got it. She's gonna think I fucking travel and stuff like that. This girl's just like, do I look like her? Just because she has like black hair. Try to get like a pose of that. This guy's just trying to get like the one little bit of like camera onto it. Oh, my guy's got like the ear pods in, so he's probably doing like the big tour. I never done that. I never done like the tour where like you have the ear pods in and someone's talking to you about it. I wonder if that's pretty good. I bet that's fun. But over tourism, that is something we will dive into after we get done with tourism. So hold on to that note, students. I got that, and then we're gonna do a cute little. There's like a documentary that I want us to watch too. So, ooh, cruise. Has anyone been on a cruise? I've never been on a cruise. I bet cruises are fun and stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, tell me if you were on a cruise. Let's see, significance. We already passed that point. I like to see what's up with UNESCO and see their involvement. That might have to be something that we check out later on.
Cruise shipping. Cruising is a popular form of water tourism. Leisure cruise ships were introduced by the Peninsular and Oriental Steam Navigation Company, PANDO, in 1844, sailing from Southampton to destinations such as Gibraltar, Malta, and Athens. In 1891, German businessman Albert Borlin sailed the ship Augusta Victoria from Hamburg into the Mediterranean Sea. The 29th of June 1900 saw the launching of the first purpose-built cruise ship was Prinzessin Victoria Louise, built in Hamburg for the Hamburg America Line. Modern-day tourism. Many leisure-oriented tourists travel to seaside resorts on their nearest coast or further afield. Coastal areas in the tropics are popular in both summer and winter. Mass tourism. Academics have defined mass tourism as travel by groups on pre-scheduled tours, usually under the organization of tourism professionals. This form of tourism developed during the second half of the 19th century in the United Kingdom and was pioneered by Thomas Cook. Cook took advantage of Europe's rapidly expanding railway network and established a company that offered affordable day-trip excursions to the masses. In addition to longer holidays to continental Europe, India, Asia and the Western Hemisphere, which attracted wealthier customers. By the 1890s, over 20,000 tourists per year used Thomas Cook and Son. The relationship between tourism companies, transportation operators and hotels is a central feature of mass tourism. Cook was able to offer prices that were below the publicly advertised price because his company purchased large numbers of tickets from railroads. One contemporary form of mass tourism, package tourism, still incorporates the partnership between these three groups. Travel developed during the early 20th century and was facilitated by the development of the automobiles and later by airplanes.
You see that? Look at that shit. What do you think about that, students? All them people? Y'all still want to go back to that? Huh? Look at that. That's one thing, too. You always got a guy wearing everything. Just suited up, always on the beach. Stuff. Look at all the guts hanging out. People browning up. People's butts hanging out sometimes. I've always liked the beach, but like, I just like the beach. The beach is great. It's just like when there's not too many people, I think, like, that's just how I am. And I do get it, like, how, like, certain people, like, not even certain people, I think there's a good amount of people where it's just like water's not your friend. And I dig it. That's okay. Package contemporary tourism still incorporates partnership between these.
Travel developed during the early 20th century and was facilitated by the development of the automobiles and later by airplanes. Improvements in transport allowed many people to travel quickly to places of leisure interest so that more people could begin to enjoy the benefits of leisure time. In continental Europe, early seaside resorts included Heiligendamm, founded in 1793 at the Baltic Sea, being the first seaside resort, Ostend, popularized by the people of Brussels, Boulogne-sur-Mer and Deauville for the Parisians, Taormina in Sicily. In the United States, the first seaside resorts in the European style were at Atlantic City, New Jersey, and Long Island, New York.
Oh shit! I did not know that. Ho, ho, ho. And look at them now. One of them is the east coast of Las Vegas, and the other one is the sample size of the world. That's crazy, though. I never knew that. Like, this is one of the first, like, the OGs. I wonder if there's, like, any, like, historical, like, parts of that. Just because, like, how modernized they were and stuff. I wonder if someone, or at least part of, like, I guess, like, the local zoning laws or whatever. Like, I wonder if they still kept on be like, no, this was, like, one of the OGs, or, like, somehow, like, some kind of recognition for that. I'm not seeing a citation for this. So I really want to, like, have confirmation on that. First seaside resorts. On to that. We're about halfway through here. Let's...
In the United States, the first sea...
Yeah. But... And... Known as one of the oldest seaside resorts in the country, Congress Hall has held on to its historical charm while keeping the involving time. Congress Hall was built in 1816 by Thomas Hughes and was called the structure the Big House. 200 years later, America's oldest seaside resort in New Jersey. Hey, what was that? Do I gotta disable it? Fine. I'll do it. I'll fight and do it for this. For you, babes. Let's see here. Best hotel in Jersey. Congress Hall, Cape May. Is that near Atlantic City? Congress Hall was built in 1816. 201 years ago. Ooh. Yeah, yeah. Last 50 years. That looks gorgeous, though. That blue, it's like a banana blue. Get some cornhole there. Some people say bags. I just want to say, fuck you. It's cornhole. Okay. What is it? He came here in 1962, established the Summer Bible Retreat. Oh boy. Oh yeah. Let's see like how this place looks. It looks nice. Early Congress Hall, 1816. Yeah, let's just say there was a good majority of white people living in this area. Oh God. Great Fire of 1878. Oh shit, this place started to fire. Yeah. Look at all them people. Oh my God, that's like something like you zoom in and it's The Shining, that dinner hall, and you just like, sir, you were a part of us the whole entire time. Oh, the ATM. Look at this. It's beautiful. Now we got some bro shorts here. They're just the bros hanging out in America. Just as long as you knew that. Oh, it's brick? Damn. Yellow brick. I love that railing. That yellow. It's a lot. This is some like, hey, Jordan Peele, if you're ever watching this, like, can you just film like your version of The Shining into this? Because this is prime good shit here. Let's see what else we got here. Boom, self-defense. All right, we got some defense on this fortress. Hell yeah. It was like to see someone drunkenly pushed a pole over. This is our national pole. Oh geez, okay. Captain Davis of the 28-ton fishing boat Fred H. Snow booked his 700-pound 700-pound anchor in June 20th, 1968, 12.5 miles off Cape May, New Jersey. Careful study of the anchor's mold and other factors have identified it has belonged to Spanish man of war Juan Juno. Juno? Okay, sure. Juno, last sighted October 27th, 1802. You got all that from the fucking mold? Holy shit. In a northeast storm 28 miles southeast of Cape May, the Juno was never seen again. There were 412 people aboard. She carried $400,000 worth of silver in her hold, plus Mexican treasure of jewels and gold trinkets. So just probably money that was owned by Mexico. She was on her way to Veracruz, Mexico, to Spain. Charles IV was king. Napoleon had just come over to power in 1770. The loss of the great treasure may have affected the decision in Europe and in behalf of the New World. Hey, Amazon. The anchor was purchased by Dr. Carl McIntyre and placed here on August 3rd, 1968, while Congress Hall was owned by Capri Bible Conference. Holy shit. Oh, and that's the anchor. Okay, that's the anchor. Yeah, that's like the hook bit. And then there you go. Tight. And this is where we fucked each other after getting that anchor. That is the stupidest balcony. What the hell? They have like bar doors and then just kunk. Is that a fucking pentagram? What the fuck is that shit? You see that shit? The fuck is that? Hold up. I'm sorry. Fucking. Let me just crop that. And fucking enhance. What the fuck is that? Cape May. The fuck is that? Are they doing some like demonic shit over there? What the fuck is... It's probably nothing. It's tourism, baby. It's tourism. What are you talking about? It's tourism. It's tourism. I don't know. Okay, but hold up. This this whole place got really, really scary after just... Hold up. No. Like, this whole place just got, like, immediately changed vibes as soon as I started doing that shit. Hold up. Alright. Like, what the fuck? It was known in this area. No, wait, what was it? In this New Jersey town, there is so many murders here, where his roommate was lifted off of the balcony and died. In this kitchen, it was known that many bodies were used to paint the floors. These chairs were totally not red before the building was built. It was said that men would have fears here. That's not really anything scary, that is just a fact. It was said that a woman sat on this chair and looked at this painting and straight up fucking died. Okay. That's hilarious. Like, the place totally switched up. Sorry. We were talking about tourism. Hey, just had to get you prepared. All right, on the scary shit that we're going to be covering on October. Well, we shall be covering the most scariest articles. Whew. All right, let's just jump ahead over to. Let's see, the mid-20 Mediterranean coast became principal mass tourism destination in 1960s, 1970s. Saw mass tourism play a major role in the Spanish economic miracle. Niche tourism.
Niche tourism. For a more comprehensive list, see list of adjectival tourisms. Niche tourism refers to the numerous specialty forms of tourism that have emerged over the years, each with its own adjective. Many of these terms have come into common use by the tourism industry and academics. Others are emerging concepts that may or may not gain popular usage. Examples of the more common niche tourism markets are agritourism, birth tourism, culinary tourism, cultural tourism, dark tourism, also called black tourism or grief tourism, ecotourism, extreme tourism, geotourism, heritage tourism, LGBT tourism, medical tourism, film tourism, nautical tourism, pop culture tourism, religious tourism, sex tourism, slum tourism, sports tourism.
I'm sorry. Somebody say, sex tourism? Sex tourism refers to the practice of traveling to different countries and continents with the intention of engaging in sexual activities or relationships in exchange for money. This practice predominantly operates in the countries where sex work is legal. However, it is known to occur illegally in poorer and less developed countries. The World Tourism Organization, the United Nations, has acknowledged this industry is organized both within and outside the structured laws and networks created by them. You know what I gotta say about that? Sex workers work. Baby. But what is dark tourism?
Dark tourism, also called black tourism or grief tourism.
Oh my gosh. What? Dark tourism? Same black tourism, morbid tourism, or grief tourism? Yeah, you gotta change that. One. Has been defined as tourism involving travel to places historically associated with death and tragedy. More recently, it was suggested that the concept should also include reasons tourists visit the site, since the sites attribute alone. So hold on, we gotta get the right music for this. More recently, it was suggested that the concept should also include the reasons tourists visit that site, since their sites attribute alone may not make a visitor a dark tourist. The main attraction to dark locations is the historical value, rather than the association with death and suffering. Holocaust tourism contains aspects of both dark tourism and heritage tourism. Okay. Got it. Cool. Okay, cool. I did that right. I was like, did I fucking lose it? But no, we didn't lose it. We never lost it. Geotourism. Okay, at just specific location. Extreme tourism, also known as referred to as white tourism, although both concepts not appear strictly familiar, is a niche tourism industry involving travel to dangerous places. Yeah. Cool. Medical tourism. Medical tourism refers to the people traveling abroad to obtain medical treatment. In the past, this usually referred to those travel to less developed countries and major. Oh wow, so that's not really something that you kind of like strive for. God, you kind of usually sometimes for war tourism. War tourism is recreational travel to active and formal war zones for the purpose of sightseeing, historical sites. So white people, got it. Like that's a big thing. Like I don't Why would you want to go to? Why would you want to go to war? Holy shit, are these people fucking? No. Ugh. Let's get away from the demonic shit right now. These motherfuckers are just chilling. This guy is drawing this fucking platoon, blowing the shit out of each other. That's got to be messed up. Imagine just going out to war and some guy's just like, hey, yeah, have a good time and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll catch you later and stuff. You know, don't get killed. Like, can I get a drawing of your portrait before it gets like blown the fuck off? Could not handle that, homies. No. Sorry. But that's wild. Oh my gosh, stop. I need to open up a link. I don't know why I'm not, like, yeah. Wellness tourism, yeah, no, I get that. Virtual tourism, totally cool with that. Slum tourism, is that another bullshit thing? Slum tourism, poverty tourism, or ghetto tourism, great, is a type of city tourism that involves visiting impoverished areas. Originally focused on the slums and ghettos of London and Manhattan in the 19th century, slum tourism is now prominent in South Africa. So that's fucked. That's awful. Like, I don't like that. What is this? Or gay tourism. I just love that. Just because, like, knowing how people always use gay as an insult, I love it being used in just normal day life and as a adjective for things. So it's just funny. It's just like, no, I go on gay tourism. I love that. People might be open about their sexual orientation and gender identity at times, but less so in areas known for violence against LGBT people. True. The main components of LGBT tourism is for destinations, accommodations, travel services wishing to attract LGBT tourists, people looking to travel to LGBT-friendly destinations, and people wanting to travel with other LGBT traveling regardless of the destination. That's dope. That's amazing. I love that. Ooh. That's my kind of tourism right there. Culinary tourism. Oh, I would love that. Because food is already can be just expensive, so. Oh my goodness, what was it? The Greatest Show Alive, no reservations. Oh my gosh. Oh, you know what? I would love to do a Wikipedia article on Anthony Bourdain. I don't know why I'm about to forget his name there. Jeez. Yeah, absolutely loved it though.
Winter tourism. See also, list of ski areas and resorts and winter sport. St. Moritz, Switzerland became the cradle of the developing winter tourism in the 1860s. Hotel manager Johannes Spadrot invited some summer guests from England to return in the winter to see the snowy landscape, thereby inaugurating a popular trend. It was, however, only in the 1970s when winter tourism took over the lead from summer tourism in many of the Swiss ski resorts. Even in winter, up to 1/3 of all guests, depending on the location, consist of non-skiers. Major ski resorts are located mostly in the various European countries, e.g. Andorra, Austria, Bulgaria, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Croatia, Czech Republic, Cyprus, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Iceland, Italy, Norway, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Romania, Serbia, Sweden, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Switzerland, Turkey, Canada, the United States, e.g. Montana, Utah, Colorado, California, Wyoming, Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, Argentina, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, Chile, and Lebanon. Recent developments.
Cool. Holy shit.
There has been an uptrend in tourism over the last few decades, especially in Europe, where international travel for short breaks is common. Tourists of a wide range of budgets and tastes and a wide variety of resorts and hotels have developed to cater for them. For example, some people prefer simple beach vacations, while others want more specialized holidays, quieter resorts, family-oriented holidays, or niche market-targeted destination hotels. The developments in air transport infrastructure, such as jumbo jets, low-cost airlines, and more accessible airports have made many types of tourism more affordable. A major factor in the relatively low cost of air travel is the tax exemption for aviation fuels. The WHO estimated in 2009 that there are around 500,000 people on board aircraft at any given time. There have also been changes in lifestyle. For example, some retirement-age people sustain year-round tourism. This is facilitated by internet sales of tourist services. Some sites have now started to offer dynamic packaging, in which an inclusive price is quoted for a tailor-made package requested by the customer upon impulse. There have been
I think that's what I took way back. Was an Italy trip. What was it? There might be a possibility I might be doing it again, but no idea on that. Let's see here.
There have been a few setbacks in tourism, such as the September 11th attacks and terrorist threats to tourist destinations, such as in Bali and several European cities. Also, on the 26th of December 2004, a tsunami, caused by the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake, hit the Asian countries on the Indian Ocean, including the Maldives. Thousands of lives were lost, including many tourists. This, together with the vast cleanup operations, stopped or severely hampered tourism in the area for a time. Individual low-price or even zero-price overnight stays have become more popular in the 2000s, especially with a strong growth in the hostel market and services like couch surfing and Airbnb being established. There has also been...
Yeah. Couch surfing is okay. I think Airbnb, though, there was a lot of conflict behind that, though. Where, like, I know that at least, oh, what was that? Sorry, I just gotta ban some people, you know what's good. And, la. Sorry, peeps, you know how it goes. Was a lot of, luckily for me, I'm not getting hit with much of the hate raids. It's more of just these stupid bots following people and just being kind of jackasses about it. You know how it goes. By the way, I hope everyone's doing okay with that. If you're someone being affected by that, I am very sorry about that. You know, you could definitely treat this place as a safe space for you. Definitely. You are very much welcome here. Okay, let's get back to it. All right, I'm gonna have to repeat this just because I got distracted on some of that, so let's go ahead and get right back to it.
There have been a few setbacks in tourism, such as the September 11th attacks and terrorist threats to tourist destinations, such as in Bali and several European cities. Also, on the 26th of December 2004, a tsunami, caused by the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake, hit the Asian countries on the Indian Ocean, including the Maldives. Thousands of lives were lost, including many tourists. This, together with the vast cleanup operations, stopped or severely hampered tourism in the area for a time. Individual low-price or even zero-price overnight stays have become more popular in the 2000s, especially with a strong growth in the hostel market and services like couch surfing and Airbnb being established. There has also been examples of jurisdictions wherein a significant portion of GDP is being spent on altering the primary sources of revenue towards tourism, as has occurred for instance in Dubai.
Yeah, Dubai, that's a kind of a more fuckety place.
Sustainable tourism. A canopy walkway at Kakem National Park in Ghana, ensuring that tourists have less direct impact on the surrounding ecology. The visitor center for the park opened on Earth Day 1997 and the park received the Global Tourism for Tomorrow award the following year. Sustainable tourism is a concept that covers the complete tourism experience, including concern for economic, social and environmental issues as well as attention to improving tourists' experiences and addressing the needs of host communities. Tourism can be related to travel for leisure, business and visiting friends and relatives and can also include means of transportation related to tourism. This might be transportation transportation to the general location as well as local transportation to and from accommodations, entertainment, recreation, nourishment and shopping. There is now broad consensus that tourism should be sustainable. In fact, all forms of tourism have the potential to be sustainable if planned, developed and managed properly. Greenhouse gas emissions, airline transportation.
Excuse me, do not do that. I'll go ahead and just...
Global tourism accounts for about 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions. This percentage takes into account airline transportation, as well as other significant environmental and social impacts that are not always beneficial to local communities and their economies. 79. Tourist development organizations are promoting sustainable tourism practices in order to mitigate negative effects caused by the growing impact of tourism. Challenges related to sustainable tourism include displacement and resettlement, environmental impacts and impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. The displacement or resettlement of local communities can be a result of making areas more accessible to tourists. Construction projects to build new roads and housing for tourists, even if only campsites, also disrupts the natural world and local environment.
See, that's what I was just talking about, like very early on when we started about this, like the whole gentrification, ruining communities just for the sake of tourism. I don't think that should be a no-go.
Construction projects to build new roads and housing for tourists, even if only campsites, also disrupts the natural world and local environment.
Yep.
Ecotourism. Main article, Ecotourism. Ecotourism, also known as ecological tourism, is responsible travel to fragile, pristine, and usually protected areas that strives to be low impact and, often, small scale. It helps educate the traveler, provides funds for conservation, directly benefits the economic development and political empowerment of local communities, and fosters respect for different cultures and for human rights. Take only memories and leave only footprints is a very common slogan in protected areas. Tourist destinations are shifting to low carbon emissions following the trend of visitors more focused in being environmentally responsible, adopting a sustainable behavior. Volunteer tourism. Main article, Volunteer tourism. Volunteer tourism, or voluntarism, is growing as a largely Western phenomenon, with volunteers traveling to aid those less fortunate than themselves in order to counter global inequalities.
Nah. Those are always iffy. Just because on like... It's so much... It's more on the fact of like, what was it? Yeah, cool. We built you a house. GG's later. And just like not dealing... Like, it's very much on the surface level help. Which... It's okay in certain ways, but... At least from a Western point of view, it's a lot of like trying to put a lot of Western influence in those areas. So it very much depends on how are you helping. And again, volunteer tourism. That's a lot there.
Waring, 2001, defines volunteer tourism as applying to those tourists who, for various reasons, volunteer in an organized way to undertake holidays that might involve aiding or alleviating the material poverty of some groups in society. VSO was founded in the UK in 1958 and the US Peace Corps was subsequently founded in 1960. These were the first large-scale voluntary sending organizations, initially arising to modernize less economically developed countries, which it was hoped would curb the influence of communism. This form of tourism is largely praised for its more sustainable approach to travel, with tourists attempting to assimilate into
I like that. Just like, so no, we're trying to modernize less economical developed countries, and also we kind of want to help get rid of some of that commie nature out of those people. Try to have them more think of these American ways, if I do say so myself.
This form of tourism is largely praised for its more sustainable approach to travel, with tourists attempting to assimilate into local cultures, and avoiding the criticisms of consumptive and exploitative mass tourism. However, increasingly, voluntarism is being criticized by scholars who suggest it may have negative effects as it begins to undermine local labor, and force unwilling host communities to adopt Western initiatives. While host communities without a strong heritage fail to retain volunteers who become dissatisfied with experiences and volunteer shortages persist. Increasingly, organizations such as VSO have been concerned with community-centric volunteer programs where power to control the future of the community is in the hands of local people.
What did I just say? Increasing organizations such as VSO has been concerned with community-centric volunteer programs of power. Yeah, while host communities without a strong heritage fail to retain volunteers who become dissatisfied with their experience. Yeah, see, again, no matter what, like, it's tourism. It's tourism. It's supposed to be this happy-go-lucky thing. Like, oh, I want to be
tourism,
like
pro-poor tourism,
stuff that.
pro-poor tourism, which seeks to help the
Why does that sound weird?
tourism, pro-poor tourism.
I don't know why that sounds so weird, but yeah, no, it's very much a thing that I don't. It's almost like two things that just aren't supposed to be, like, ethical billionaire. That's like, that doesn't exist. Not till, I guess, not yet, with like certain athletes or certain folks, because how inflation and money's working these days. But either way, it's something that shouldn't exist together. Okay, it should just be volunteering. All right, tourism still can be great, of course, but again, volunteer tourism where you're just like, oh, just like, yes, I just helped out these starving kids, I fed them food, and then I go back over to my Hilton and eat a steak dinner. It's just like, you're not, like, there's something wrong with that. You understand? That's why I'm like sensing something wrong about it. It's specifically an elitist point of view, and it's just like, it doesn't help at all with that. And again, with it being westernized and stuff like that, the whole like white person going to Africa to go help out people, that's a very like, pushes the whole white savior trope too. That's a very specific thing, but still a thing.
Pro-poor tourism, which seeks to help the poorest people in developing countries, has been receiving increasing attention by those involved in development. The issue has been addressed through small-scale projects in local communities and through attempts by ministries of tourism to attract large numbers of tourists. Research by the Overseas Development Institute suggests that neither is the best way to encourage tourists' money to reach the poorest, as only 25% or less, far less in some cases, ever reaches the poor. Successful examples of money reaching the poor include mountain climbing in Tanzania and cultural tourism in Luang Prabang, Laos. There is also the possibility of pro-poor tourism principles being adopted in center sites of regeneration in the developed world.
So, small-scale projects in local communities through the attempts of Ministry of Tourism to attract large number of tourists. Oh, okay, so rock climbing and all that. Okay. That's better. Where again, you can tour there and that's totally fine, but the service is being done by the community, the local community that's there. Yeah, totally do it.
Recession tourism. This section does not cite any sources. Please help improve this section by adding citations to reliable sources. Unsourced material may be challenged and removed. June 2021. Learn how and when to remove. Recession tourism is a travel trend which evolved by way of the world economic crisis. Recession tourism is defined by low-cost and high-value experiences taking place at once popular generic retreats. Various recession tourism hotspots have seen business boom during the recession thanks to comparatively low costs of living and a slow world job market, suggesting travelers are elongating trips where their money travels further. This concept is not widely used in tourism research. It is related to the short-lived phenomenon that is more widely known as staycation. Medical tourism. Main article, medical tourism. When there is a significant price difference between countries for a given medical procedure, particularly in Southeast Asia, India, Eastern Europe, Cuba and Canada, where there are different regulatory regimes in relation to particular medical procedures, e.g. dentistry, traveling to take advantage of the price or regulatory differences is often referred to as medical tourism. Educational tourism. This section does not cite any sources. Please help improve this section by adding citations to reliable sources. Unsourced material may be challenged and removed.
Okay, got it.
Educational tourism is developed because of the growing popularity of teaching and learning of knowledge and the enhancing of technical competency outside of the classroom environment. In educational tourism, the main focus of the tour or leisure activity includes visiting another country to learn about the culture, study tours, or to work and apply skills learned inside the classroom in a different environment, such as in the International Practicum Training Program.
Oh, so it kind of goes full circle. At least I'm granted that, like, it's not a lot of like rich Englishmen going around for educational, but I bet it, event tourism, I bet that has to do with concerts.
Event tourism.
Bet money.
This type of tourism is focused on tourists coming into a region to either participate in an event or to see an organized event put on by the city region. This type of tourism can also fall under sustainable tourism as well, and companies that create a sustainable event to attend open up a chance to not only the consumer but their workers to learn and develop from the experience. Creating a sustainable atmosphere creates a chance to inform and encourage sustainable practices. An example of event tourism would be the music festival South by Southwest that is hosted in Austin, Texas annually. Every year people from all over the world flock to the city for 1 week to sit in on technology talks and see bands perform. People are drawn here to experience something that they are not able to experience in their hometown, which defines event tourism. Creative tourism. Creative tourism has existed as a form of cultural tourism since the early beginnings of tourism itself. Its European roots date back to the time of the Grand Tour, which saw the sons of aristocratic families traveling for the purpose of mostly interactive, educational experiences. More recently, creative tourism has been given its own name by Crispin Raymond and Greg Richards, who as members of the Association for Tourism and Leisure Education, Atlas, have directed a number of projects for the European Commission, including cultural and crafts tourism, known as sustainable tourism. They have defined creative tourism as tourism related to the active participation of travelers in the culture of the host community, through interactive workshops and informal learning experiences. Meanwhile, the concept of creative tourism has been picked up by high-profile organizations such as UNESCO, who through the Creative Cities Network, have endorsed creative tourism as an engaged, authentic experience that promotes an active understanding of the specific cultural features of a place.
This sounds like educational tourism. Like, why not just keep it to just educational? They should just get rid of the educational tourism part and just keep it to
UNESCO
creativity.
wrote in one of its documents, creative tourism involves more interaction, in which the visitor has an educational, emotional, social, and participative interaction with the place, its living culture, and the people who live there. They feel like a citizen. Saying so, the tourist will have the opportunity to take part in workshops, classes and activities related to the culture of the destination. More recently, creative tourism has gained popularity as a form of cultural tourism, drawing on active participation by travelers in the culture of the host communities they visit. Several countries offer examples of this type of tourism development, including the United Kingdom, Austria, France, the Bahamas, Jamaica, Spain, Italy, New Zealand, and South Korea. The growing interest of tourists in this new way to discover a culture regards particularly the operators and branding managers, attentive to the possibility of attracting a quality tourism, highlighting the intangible heritage, craft workshops, cooking classes, etc., and optimizing the use of existing infrastructure, for example, through the rent of halls and auditoriums. Experiential tourism. Experiential travel, or immersion travel, is one of the major market trends in the modern tourism industry. It is an approach to traveling which focuses on experiencing a country, city or particular place by connecting to its history, people, food and culture. The term experiential travel has been mentioned in publications since 1985, but it was not discovered as a meaningful market trend until much later. Dark tourism. Main article, Dark tourism. One emerging area of special interest has been identified by Lennon and Foley. Social tourism. Social tourism is making tourism available to poor people.
The reason why I skipped is because we kind of hit the basic part of it, and also, what was it? We still want to cover over tourism, and what was it? We have the documentary on over tourism.
Social tourism. Social tourism is making tourism available to poor people who otherwise could not afford to travel for their education or recreation. It includes youth hostels and low-priced holiday accommodation run by church and voluntary organizations, trade unions, or in communist times publicly owned enterprises. In May 1959, at the Second Congress of Social Tourism in Austria, Walter Hunziker proposed the following definition: social tourism is a type of tourism practiced by low-income groups, and which is rendered possible and facilitated by entirely separate and therefore easily recognizable services.
Hey students, I'm going to use the restroom real quick. Go ahead and learn about doom tourism, and I already kind of looked into, I think actually this specific one, so perfect timing. A BRB.
Doom tourism, also known as tourism of doom, or last chance tourism. This emerging trend involves traveling to places that are environmentally or otherwise threatened, such as the ice caps of Mount Kilimanjaro, the melting glaciers of Patagonia, or the coral of the Great Barrier Reef, before it is too late. Identified by Travel Trade magazine Travel Age West editor-in-chief Kenneth Shapiro in 2007 and later explored in the New York Times, this type of tourism is believed to be on the rise. Some see the trend as related to sustainable tourism or ecotourism due to the fact that a number of these tourist destinations are considered threatened by environmental factors such as global warming, overpopulation or climate change. Others worry that travel to many of these threatened locations increases an individual's carbon footprint and only hastens problems threatened locations are already facing. Religious tourism. Main article, Religious tourism. Religious tourism in particular pilgrimage, can serve to strengthen faith and to demonstrate devotion, both of which are central tenets of many major religions. Religious tourists may seek destinations whose image encourages them to believe that they can strengthen the religious elements of their self-identity in a positive manner. Given this, the perceived image of a destination may be positively influenced by whether it conforms to the requirements of their religious self-identity or not. DNA tourism. DNA tourism, also called ancestry tourism or heritage travel, is tourism based on DNA testing. These tourists visit their remote relatives or places where their ancestors came from, or where their relatives reside, based on the results of DNA tests. DNA testing became a growing trend in 2019. Impacts. Impacts of tourism. Tourism brings both positive and negative impacts on tourist destinations. The traditionally described domains of tourism impacts are economic, socio-cultural, and environmental dimensions. The economic effects of tourism include improved tax revenue and personal income, increased standards of living, and more employment opportunities. Socio-cultural impacts are associated with interactions between people with differing cultural backgrounds, attitudes and behaviors.
What did I miss? Impact. Oh shit. Religious tourism. Yeah, that's a big part. DNA tourism. Oh yeah. Economic impact. Okay, cool. So, how much time do we have left on this? Dope. Oh, perfect. Cool. Tourism, security, sports, tourism, growth, space tour. Okay, whatever. Cool then. Social tourism. Impacts. I'm going to go ahead and rewatch this part because I want to learn it.
Impacts. Impacts of tourism. Tourism brings both positive and negative impacts on tourist destinations. The traditionally described domains of tourism impacts are economic, socio-cultural, and environmental dimensions. The economic effects of tourism include improved tax revenue and personal income, increased standards of living, and more employment opportunities. Socio-cultural impacts are associated with interactions between people with differing cultural backgrounds, attitudes and behaviors, and relationships to material goods. Environmental impacts affect the carrying capacity of the area, vegetation, air quality, bodies of water, the water table, wildlife, and natural phenomena. Tourism fatigue. Excessive hordes of visitors, or of the wrong sort of visitors, can provoke backlashes from otherwise friendly hosts in popular destinations. Negative environmental consequences. Negative environmental consequences related to tourism activities, such as greenhouse gas emissions from air travel, and litter at popular locations, can be significant. Illegal activities. See also, drug trafficking. Tourism is sometimes associated with export or theft of contraband such as endangered species or certain cultural artifacts, and illegal sex trade activities.
I was like, I've been seeing that a lot lately, just because I've been flying a bunch lately too, but I've been seeing that, like, just like telling people to do certain signs or just run to an adult, cause a scene on, like, if you're involved in not just drug trafficking but illegal sex trade. That's a whole other fucking part. And how they talk about this, like, what was it, standard of living and more employment opportunity, to a certain part of the community. That's such a wild thing that you could force someone out of their house and then give them a job to build the place that forced them out of their house. Oh gosh, that's fucking awful.
Anti-tourism sentiment and mobilization. This section needs additional citations for verification. Please help improve this article by adding citations to reliable sources. Unsourced material may be challenged and removed. In recent years, the local population in many areas has developed anti-tourism sentiment and begun to protest against tourists. One of the most prominent examples of such a mobilization was the so-called Tourists Go Home movement, which emerged in 2014 in Spain due to slogans and mottos calling the tourists to go back to their homes. Venice also faced such problems, and the Tourists Go Home slogans appeared on the walls of the city. Moreover, several other countries, such as Japan and the Philippines, are having problems with overtourism. The year 2017 seems to be a landmark for anti-tourism sentiment as a new Spanish social movement against an economic development model based on mass tourism gained following high-profile attacks, targeting foreign tourists and local business interests. Anti-tourism sentiment also seems to be linked to a clash of identity and people's individualism.
I can definitely tell. It's so weird just because, like, I think Like, what was it? I think you can have your cake and eat it too. I think you could be able to travel everywhere and stuff. I think it's more on the corporational part. I think that's the biggest part. I think people want to try to make an individualistic part or just try to do 50-50 on it, where it's like, oh, you only should, like, you can only either everyone's traveling everywhere and we're bringing everything, and or what was it, or no travel at all. Like, I can hear the same sentiment of people who are anti-tourism, where like there is a small group. I'm not associating with all people that are doing anti-tourism, but like I can see there could be like a small group of people that are the same people where it's just like, I don't want any of these like foreigners in my country and stuff, because we have tourism, then we have people like illegally staying here and stuff like that, and like that's a whole separate issue. And again, I'm making up an issue from that, but more or less, when I think over tourism and anti-tourism and stuff like that, it's very much going against how corporations have dealt with tourism, and we're going to go ahead and dive into that. There's a limited amount of orbital space tourism, sports tourism, following the team, tourism security, that following TSA trends. We just got done talked about in early 2000. Yeah, it's very much repeating of what we just got done talking about. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and go over to over-tourism. And we're going to see what this article in Wikipedia has to go over. And then after we do that, we were going to go ahead and watch the video that we have here on this documentary. It's called Crowded Out, the story of over-tourism, which is very interesting. And I'm going to try to actually keep this on the YouTube stream, see if we can actually have that. So I'm going to keep an eye on it, and we'll play the documentary. And then if it fails, then we'll have to then you YouTube people are going to have to come on over here and watch it, and we'll end the show. We'll end the show on the YouTube side. All right, but let's go ahead and get right back on over to over-tourism. So, after everything that we talked about with tourism and the impact and the statistics behind it and stuff, and we kind of reached a big problem. There's a lot of people in this world, and a lot of people want to see what's going on, and corporations are ruining people's lives just to have other people see it. And there's just too many people going all around in one place. So, how do we deal with over-tourism? Is it simply just too many people? Or is it how people are doing it? I'm very curious on just what this will entitle.
Overtourism. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. This article needs additional citations for verification. Please help improve this article by adding citations to reliable sources. Unsourced material may be Overtourism is the perceived congestion or overcrowding from an excess of tourists, resulting in conflicts with locals. The World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, defines overtourism as the impact of tourism on a destination, or parts thereof, that excessively influences perceived quality of life of citizens and or quality of visitor experiences in a negative way. This definition shows how overtourism can be observed both among locals, who view tourism as a disruptive factor that increasingly burdens daily life, as well as visitors, who may regard high numbers of tourists as a nuisance.
Okay, so it's very much... So certain people are very much just on the high numbers, and the World Tourism Organization is very specifically just saying, through the act of tourism, this is affecting our city in a negative way.
The term has only been used frequently since 2015, but is now the most commonly used expression to describe the negative impacts ascribed to tourism. Characterization. In 2018, CNN characterized overtourism as a tourism backlash in popular destinations, discussing multiple areas that were actively seeking to limit tourism. The growth of tourism can lead to conflicts over the use of space between residents, commuters, day visitors and overnight tourists. Although much attention is currently given to overtourism in cities, it can also be observed in rural destinations, or on islands. Overtourism is related to the carrying capacity of a destination and to overcrowding, when too many people visit a specific place for safety or comfort.
Perfect example is Hawaii. oh my gosh, they're being overburdened, and the price of land and how limited it is to go there. It's almost as worse, where you have corporations buying out land to build hotels so people can tour there, and then people end up falling in love with it and wanting to retire there, so they buy land there, and then not giving it to like the proper people who live there. Like that should take priority. Which I think, like, what was it? I think like Hawaii has like a list of people where it's like land is supposed to be dedicated for them, but I think even corporations bypass that again with the dollar bills, y'all.
Overtourism is related to the carrying capacity of a destination and to overcrowding, when too many people visit a specific place for safety or comfort. Overtourism is sometimes incorrectly equated with mass tourism. Mass tourism entails large groups of tourists coming to the same destination. While this can lead to overtourism, there are many destinations that host millions of visitors, yet are not seen as suffering from overtourism, e.g., London. Overtourism is not caused just by overnight tourism visitors. In Amsterdam, for example, the second largest group of visitors come from nearby areas who visit the city just for the day. Causes. As early as the late 1970s, three main issues related to excessive tourism growth were recognized. 1. Too many visitors. 2. Too much disturbance, e.g., noise. 3. Too many physical impacts, e.g., touristification and destruction of nature. Overtourism is observed mostly, but not exclusively, when the number of visitors to a destination, or parts thereof, grows rapidly in a short space of time. Also, it is most common in areas where visitors and residents share a physical space. In recent years, developments within tourism and outside of tourism have increased contact between residents and visitors and made the impacts of tourism more noticeable. In addition to the overall growth of tourist numbers, problems associated with overtourism have been exacerbated by the following developments. Tourism developments. Low-cost airlines. The low fares of the low-cost airlines have made it easier for more people to travel more often. Cruises. Cruise tourism is growing rapidly, particularly in popular, but relatively small tourism destinations, e.g., Dubrovnik or Orkney. Cruises can cause overtourism, when large numbers of tourists all come to visit a city at the same time.
Yeah. Like, very much, and you're gonna get ready to call me a hypocrite in the next few years or something, but destination cruises are kind of BS. Like, cruises in general are very just bleh. But also, like, I mean, if you gave me a free cruise, I'm definitely gonna take it. Because, I mean, I'm lazy as fuck. Come on. You're telling me you're gonna pay for my accommodations, I get to see nice waters and not have to worry about a damn thing and stuff. Hopefully I don't get seasick. Hopefully. But, like, bet your ass I'm gonna take it. Sorry. Like, I mean, fuck. It's this mindset of just like, yes, I want to help the environment. Yes, I want to be a part of it. But also, like, I wouldn't mind going on a cruise and having food and stuff like that. Like, I mean, you know, give me a little bit of hope here. Everybody deserves a vacation, of course. Just trying to outweigh it, you know. I'm trying to go to the good place.
Airbnb and similar online accommodation services can lead to an increase in tourists due to lower prices.
And you know what's bullshit about it? You have places like Airbnb, but we have full-blown vacant hotels and apartments just available, and people and it's not working. Like, and what was it? I know one of my friends, they had an Airbnb and straight up lice, and like they had to like the whole like what was it? Because it's been overly privatized and stuff, it like it's the Wild West. You don't have to properly maintain it, you just fully accept the price of it, and like it's a lot of just like non-jurisdiction things, and it's all based around like emails being sent out, and hopefully you get checked back. It's a little bit crazy. It's handy, but like it needs to be regulated heavily.
Often simpler booking procedures and a wider choice of accommodation, mostly private apartments or houses. Social media. The increased ease of communication through social media means that previously undiscovered places can suddenly become very popular, particularly when promoted by influencers on platforms like Instagram. When they use the geotag feature, People are able to see the exact coordinates of the location with a click of a button. This social media effect can compound the increased tourism traffic that often arises from revamped marketing campaigns for regional destinations.
Yeah.
Such tourism campaigns are often initiated by government agencies. Often the goal is to revitalize an area after a downturn in the local economy has occurred. Population growth. In the last 50 years, the world's population has more than doubled. This means that the market is larger.
It's just
Increased
inevitable.
urbanization. In the last 60 years, the population in urban areas has grown at a never-before-seen rate. Developments outside of tourism. Growth of host population and commuters, particularly in city destinations. The number of residents and commuters has risen rapidly in recent years, which has led to increased pressure on infrastructure and facilities and a heightened sense of crowding. Experience economy and changing lifestyle patterns. The increased use of leisure facilities by residents has contributed to a monoculture of hospitality facilities and has increased the likelihood that residents and visitors share the same spaces. Speculation on the housing market. Speculation on the housing market can also create a shortage of housing for residents and increase rents and house prices. Online shopping. The impact of online shopping is twofold. It has made it more difficult for retailers to sell enough to pay for the high rents in popular destinations, while it has increased the number of transport vehicles that stop to deliver goods in city centers and suburban areas, contributing to congestion. Social media. Residents have found it easier to unite due to the rise of social media, which has made it possible for them to become better organized in voicing their concerns regarding tourism impacts. Examples. Several media outlets have published lists of destinations that are not recommended because of an excessive number of tourists. Antarctica. According to CNN, environmentalists are concerned about the effect of tourism on Antarctica, which steadily increased during the 2010s. Asia. In 20
I actually really wanted to go to Antarctica. I mean, I'll probably still go, but still, that's fuck. I just like Antarctica. Really? It goes that far? I mean, I guess like it affects a lot of the people who have to stay there for research facilities, but I mean, like, what's fucking in Antarctica? Like, it's ice. Like, you go to the South Pole, you take a picture, and like that's it. There's no penguin. Like, penguins are up north. Like, there's nothing. Like, you know what? If you want to do volunteer tourism, go there. I recently just watched an anime for that. I think, was it? Or no, was it North Pole? I think it was like, it was a group of girls going to the North Pole because they had penguins there. Yes, they went. Very cute anime. It was very cute. I forgot what the name was. What was it? What was it? I want to look it up real quick. What was it? North Pole anime, right? Yeah. Was it? Yeah, a place further than the universe. It was very cute. I really liked it. Very cute story. Definitely got emotional at the very end. Kind of goes like full circle. It's very cute. Let's continue on here.
Asia. In 2019, the Taj Mahal started finding visitors who stay more than 3 hours. CNN in 2017 called the crowds relentless. Mount Everest has become so overtouristed that climbers die of altitude sickness because of the delays caused by overcrowding. As of 2020, the Nepalese government was planning to limit permits to those who had climbed another Nepalese peak 21,325 feet, 6,500 meters. Maya Bay in Thailand was closed to the public after overtourism caused environmental issues. Ao Phang Nga National Park was listed in 2017 in FODA's list of places not to go in 2018 because of overtourism. China's Great Wall has been damaged by overtourism. Bhutan instituted a $200 to $250 charge per day for tourists because of overtourism concerns. In Japan, Kyoto officials as of 2019 had instituted a $92 fine for tourists taking photographs of geishas without their permission. In Hanoi in October of 2019, a train had to make an emergency stop because of tourists on the tracks taking selfies. Bali in Indonesia was, in 2020, planning a $10 tourist tax.
Hey, we all know about a famous certain someone getting a little bit too touristy in fucking Japan. Mr. Paul, his jackass. What was it? He was like throwing change, wasn't he? He was like throwing change at the shrine, like just disregarding people's agenda. And like, what was it? And it was also the whole suicide forest thing. Like, I bet there's like tourism on that part, which I mean, it's more just illegal tourism on that. But yeah, that was completely fucked.
Europe. In Scotland, the Isle of Skye advised visitors not to come unless they had overnight lodging booked. Hallstatt,
Wow.
Austria in 2020 has 700.
I love these places that are just being like, motherfucker, you're gonna pay. All right, fine. You want to see my special statue? You want to see where my ancestors like hang out in, or you want to see my cool plaque or museum, or you want to see our place? Bitch, you're gonna pay. I like that.
Hallstatt, Austria in 2020 has 780 citizens and more than 10,000 visitors a day, primarily arriving via tour bus, stopping briefly for photographs, and moving on quickly. The town in 2020 implemented a new system to limit entry of buses. Venice, Italy has faced declining population because of overtourism. In 2019 Forbes called it one of the most notably overtouristed destinations in the world. CNN in 2017 called the crowds overbearing. The city in 2018 tested the use of turnstiles in St. Mark's Square to control the number of visitors. In 2020 the daily tourist tax was $11.
Like, isn't that like the floating city? I'm surprised that like that city hasn't sank. Just like with all the people walking on it, like that's a lot.
Capri in 2018 tested ways to limit day tourism. Cinque Terre had 2.5 million visitors in 2015, and local authorities sought to limit visitors to 1.5 million in 2016, but a backlash resulted in this being walked back. CNN in 2017 said that day tourists from cruise ships, who tour for a few hours and don't spend money, are blamed for environmental damage. Officials in Rome made it illegal to sit on the Spanish steps, with fines of up to $448 due to damage caused by tourists.
Like, that has to be the most stupidest. Like, and of course, here I am saying I'm planning on going to Antarctica, but like, like, that is some bullshit though, because everyone starts like thinking about it like still in like an individualistic perspective, where it's like, I'm not gonna do harm if I go there, and then guess what? You and 1,000 other people are thinking the same thing. So you know what? Maybe I'm not. You know what? Let's be honest. Probably never going to go to Antarctica. Totally fine with that. But also that would be pretty fucking cool. Let's be honest. Just saying. Just saying.
Amsterdam in 2019 instituted a daily tourist tax and in 2020, eliminated red light district tours. In Paris, workers at the Louvre went on strike over what they said were dangerously overcrowded conditions. In Barcelona, protesters have demonstrated in tourist beaches and other tourist-heavy neighborhoods, and anti-tourist graffiti has appeared. By 2013, 9 million visitors were touring Park Güell annually, and officials limited entry to the park to 800 an hour. The New Yorker said, Park Güell's shift from a shared public space into a cultural zone occupied almost exclusively by tourists is understood by some worried residents of Barcelona as a story about the prospective fate of the city itself. According to Albert Arias, a geographer with the Barcelona government, the selling of tickets was a very bad solution, that is acknowledging a problem by fencing off public space. Airbnb has contributed to overtourism, within some sections of town experiencing a 45% decline in resident population between 2007 and 2019 due to investors purchasing properties to use as short-term rentals via the platform. By 2017, tourism had become a top concern among city officials, with a survey showing 60% of residents believed Barcelona had reached or exceeded its capacity to accommodate tourism. In 2020, Barcelona was planning to limit cruise ships. In April 2020, a proposal for radical change in the organization of the city, the Manifesto for the Reorganization of the City After COVID-19, was published in Barcelona, signed by 160 academics and 300 architects. The manifesto is radically critical towards the touristification and commodification of the city, proposing to eliminate cruise ships, maintain the current dimensions of the airport, stimulate touristic degrowth, eliminate any investment to promote the Barcelona brand. In Santorini, Greece, cruise ship visitors have been capped at 8,000 per day due to overtourism after years in which the island of 15,000 residents was receiving up to 18,000 tourists per day. Dubrovnik became so overtouristed by 2017 that UNESCO considered removing it from the World Heritage Site list. The city capped the number of visitors allowed to climb its ramparts and as of 2017 was planning to limit the number of cruise ships that could dock. In 2020 they were considering limiting the number of new restaurants allowed to open. The Fjötraglufur area was closed after a 2015 Justin Bieber video made it so popular the government needed to improve infrastructure. Other overtouristed areas in Europe include Mallorca and Alicante.
Damn you, Justin Bieber, and your popularity.
South America, As of 2019, Peru limits visitors to Machu Picchu to 5,000 per day, but UNESCO believes the limit should be halved. Starting in 2014, foreign tourists were required to hire a guide. In 2020, the site was planning to issue 5,940 tickets per day, which is more than twice the 2,500 UNESCO recommends to preserve the ruins. Ecuador's Galapagos Islands were included on FODA's 2017 list of places not to go because of environmental damage caused by overtourism. As of 2017, visitors are required to hire a guide. Measures against overtourism. In September 2018, the World Tourism Organization, UNO, published a report on overtourism and how to deal with it. The report highlights the importance of looking at tourism in a local context and details 11 strategies to deal with overtourism. Increase the physical dispersion of crowds among different attractions within a city destination. Increase the temporal dispersion of tourists, e.g., by encouraging off-season visits. Promote new and special interest itineraries and attractions. Make effective use of regulations on tourism. Tailor activities to specific segments of the tourism market. Ensure that the communities and residents benefit from tourism. Create experiences beneficial to both tourists and residents. Expand infrastructure. Involve local residents in tourism policy making. Communicate with tourists about the potential impacts of tourism on communities. Use data to monitor and respond to problems related to overtourism. The consultancy firm McKinsey suggests that to prevent overtourism, one must focus on 4 priorities. Build a comprehensive fact base and update it regularly. Establish a sustainable growth strategy through rigorous, long-term planning. Involve all sections of society: commercial, public, and social. Find new sources of funding. In addition, systematic public relations and communication is essential. Goals, measures, successes and failures of local tourism management must be made transparent to the inhabitants so that all relevant institutions become involved.
Sure. You got to be able to handle the funds. Got to be able to handle where the money is coming from. Well, there you go. There is what is up with overtourism. Cool stuff. Now, let's go ahead and knock out this beautiful little... We got a nice little documentary we got to check out here. Let me see if I can... Yeah. So let's go ahead. Let's turn you down. Close you out. Okay, so keeping this on to the YouTube part because I need to watch it. All right. For everybody that has been watching, let me just go ahead and do a little bit of a thing. Actually, no, we'll go ahead and see. Let's see how this handles. All right. So this is. Let me make sure I get the person's name right. From Responsible Travel. Powerful short documentary exploring overtourism featuring interviews with local residents and global experts. Crowded out the story of overtourism. This is by 2018. So right when all that shit was happening. See, overtourism occurs when there are too many visitors in a particular destination. When rent prices pushes out local tenants to make way for holiday rentals, when narrow roads become jammed with tourist vehicles, when tourists cannot view landmarks because of the crowds, there are all signs of over-tourism, and it is a backlash from local residents that have made over-tourism news. Cities such as Barcelona, Venice, and Dubrovnik, places once thought as remote, such as Iceland and Skye, have suffered firsthand, and protests of local residents have spread. There have been decades of virtual uncontrolled growth and has crossed a threshold. In many destinations, tourism now demonstrably creates more problems than benefits. Learn more at Responsible Travel, responsibletravel.com, copy overtourism. Cool. All right. Get this little Gando here.
This is a story about tourism and a world on the move. Tourism has been widely regarded as a benign industry, a win-win for tourists and local people who benefit from the jobs that the industry creates. In 2017, everything changed.
Now, a group protesting against mass tourism in Spain has threatened further attacks after targeting British
Protesters
holiday
blame tourists for driving up the cost of rents and basic necessities beyond.
There's been growing unease in Europe at the number of tourists flooding in, and later there's going to be a tourist
Spain face a backlash from locals.
The world's largest cruise ship has embarked on its maiden voyage from Barcelona.
Too many tourists. So tonight,
Overtourism is the topic that's getting more and more attention all the time. And as you know, there were a lot of protests in Europe.
It's a whole lot of people. Whole lot of people.
My name is
Crowded
Justin
out.
Francis.
Hello.
Much of my life and work has been dedicated to travel. My own travel has led me to enriching experiences and a warm embrace from local people. For the past 17 years, I've run a travel business which allows others to have similar experiences. The events of 2017 sent shockwaves through the tourism industry, and a new term emerged, overtourism. I spoke to Professor Harold Goodwin to understand what it means.
I think overtourism is actually quite easy to understand, and the reason the word has caught on is that people understand immediately what it means. It means a situation where either local people or the tourists feel that the place is just over-visited and that it's changing its character. So for the tourist, it loses authenticity, and for the local people, it just causes irritation and annoyance.
I mean, that old adage of this is your holiday, but this is my home, it rings really true now. Do you think that's...
I think that campaign hit the nail on the head. We take our holidays in other people's homes. When I was working here in South Africa back in 2000 or 2001, I went with a township operator in the back of a small minibus into Kailicha. And he wanted me to meet an elderly lady who was trying to start a restaurant in her house. And it was an amazing experience, you know, one of those privileged times that you remember, but I'd been invited into her house. We came out and there was a big 50-seater coach parked outside, and the tourists were all stood up at the windows, shooting with a camera down at us. And she turned to me and she said, "They think we're animals." And that really went home. I just thought, this is appalling.
Yikes.
And that is over-tourism.
That's
Frustrated
sketchy.
and appalled by such treatment, communities across Europe took to the streets and turned against tourism in angry protests.
We're gonna fucking shoot him with our cannon. Holy shit. You see that guy? He wasn't fucking around. I like that guy. It's like, we're gonna fucking shoot these tourists. Gonna lob off their legs.
In angry protests.
Mean business.
I'm going to try to find out more about what triggered these outbursts, what's changed, and why have many local communities had enough of tourism.
Why do people hate tourism? To find out this problem, I'm going to tour the world to figure out what the problem was. Oh shit. That's crazy. Like, cause like I think I traveled around 2014 when I went to Venice, and like it never catches you when you're young, and then when you're younger. When you're younger, I know I'm about to have like 30-plus-year-olds come at me on that, but like it's like it never really hits you in the head until like you really start thinking about it. It sucks. It's just like, I want my cake and eat it too, and sometimes you can if you do it ethically, but yeah. Sometimes you don't have to eat the cake. Sometimes you don't even have to make it.
It's a fight every day. It's a fight.
Oh my god! Fuck! You saw that guy? I thought he was about to. It's like, is that a fucking tourist? He saw the camera guy. He saw the camera guy. He's just like, these motherfuckers. Is this motherfucker a
We
tourist?
still survive, but I'm not. They call us the pandas of Venice, the few left citizens.
There must be a way to contain this, okay? There is a maximum amount of tourists this place can carry. So this huge flow we're getting every day, it's just unbearable.
Every single day you find a problem, when you had to cross the street, when you had to buy something, when you had to get the public boat.
It's kind of destroying the community because everything is catered for tourists. There are more short-let flats than permanent residency for
I like that. Just like people are just walking right by. She's like, she's not talking about us, is she? Just like, yeah, I fucking hate them fucking tourists all coming in, especially the American ones. They're fat. They got their Karen haircuts and shit. And just like lady just walking right by, just like, oh my god, she talking to me. So I right. Wish they would just fucking leave. Get your fucking gelato and shove it.
for locals.
We don't have enough flats for inhabitants. So people are moving away because you cannot find a place to live here.
Losing people, losing inhabitants means losing the character of the city. Now it's becoming Disneyland.
All the butchers, the bakers, the pharmacies, the dressmakers are all going and being replaced by souvenir shops.
We are losing the meaning of the city. Venice is so different from the other part of the world. It's so fragile. It's so weak somehow.
There's no indication of our tour operators educating the visitors to respect the locals, respect the size and the layout of this town, which is very, very unique.
I see the gondola. Yeah, you should film that. You should film that. Look at that. Look at the mess. Kayak, Venice kayak. They cross in a place where all the gondola cross, and this is completely crazy.
Holy shit. Holy shit, that's fucked up. Just like, you see these fucking assholes? Look at them, 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 look at them down there. God. You're gondoling down. La, da, 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 da. You just sitting over, you see the kayak, like, excuse me, I paid $70, 70 euro, so I can go down and I can have a personal one drive. Fucking gondola comes in, just shoves him down, flips him like, oh my god. I wonder how many bodies. I wonder how many people drown in Venice. Because there's no railing. Like last time I was there, there's no railing.
The main effect that I feel this town is losing its identity, which is ironically what the tourists come to buy, but it's gone, bit by bit.
Barcelona. All the cameras and people chilling.
It feels like the infrastructure can't really cope with the amount of people that we have here. Generally, the residents feel that the city is becoming overrun by tourism, and it's becoming more of a city for the tourists than actually the residents who've been living here for generations.
I guess like for London and places, New York, it's almost accepting where it's like you have people that aren't from here, which, I mean, there's still gentrification and people's towns getting destroyed from that. So I would definitely like to see like a New York perspective of overpopulation. I think that would be very interesting. Like, not really interesting because I bet money it's just like a repeat of what we're seeing here. And I think these places are definitely more affected because I don't think these cities are meant to support that many people, which versus, again, what we just heard about London and New York, they have the money to back into it. But this, again, what the guy just said, fragile. These places are beautiful and fragile.
The neighborhood I'm living here now, over the past 7 years has changed massively, and it has converted into a tourist neighborhood, and I cannot sleep.
I mean, they just forget about their behaviors, right? They come here just to, to do everything that they cannot do in their home countries.
Here they call it el turismo de borrachera. El turismo de borrachera is the drunken parties. Local markets in Barcelona have become, in a way, the biggest victims of this tourist massification. As they are the core of what is supposed to be authentic culture, they become tourist attractions in their own right. So tourists go, but they basically go to take pictures. They will not actually shop as residents do.
They've changed from selling food, fresh food, they've just gone to selling fruit juice. I mean, just for tourists. So everyone is just shaping their mind to see how they can make business.
That's a big problem. Like you always see that like thing with the US where it's just like, oh, it's another fucking Starbucks and fruit juice. And now to actually see like just tourism being the fact of it, which I mean, again, like I guess it's more capitalist kind of means here, but also, yeah, you got your bits here.
Business out of tourists and not offering value to local people.
Actually, it's a vicious circle because, of course, the more you develop the industry, the more the massification will affect the tourist experience. You know, because if numbers continue to sustainably grow, probably very soon Barcelona could die of success. You know, Barcelona as a tourist city because it's so beautiful.
It's like
that, people will suffocate it.
It's like an 80s rock star.
The desperation of residents and the protests which followed brought the world's attention to Europe, but it didn't stop there. Around the globe, reports of overcrowding, environmental damage, and local tensions emerged, and in some unexpected places. Not only were popular cities suffering, but remote, fragile locations, such as Gili Trawangan Island in Indonesia, were raising their voices as well.
I really want to see, because I'm a problematic person and I like to see violence, I just would love to see one of these tourist people just in an altercation to where they would end up be getting the proper punishment that they deserve. AKA, I want to see one of the locals beat the shit out of one of these people. Because it'd just be fun. Just like, basically like, one of those like drunken people just totally destroying the place, acting up and stuff like that. And a woman just comes in, just slaps them.
Photographer Thomas Egley travelled to this paradise island to document the dramatic changes tourism has caused.
Tom, tell me about your project, which is your recent project, which is a very kind of personal one, I think.
Yeah, it all started with my parents because 30 years ago, my parents went to Paradise Island, which real name is Gili Trawangan, and it was on their honeymoon. And it's the most beautiful place they've ever been to. It was their Paradise Island. So I went there 30 years later to discover what happened to that island because I already knew it changed.
Yeah. And when I saw your work, I mean, the before and after pictures with the 30-year gap, I mean, it's barely recognizable as the same place.
Yeah, it's totally different. I mean, it starts with how my parents went to that island, whereas they just hired a fisherman with a little boat. It wasn't even in a tourist guide. They stood with local people, and there was nothing else to do than have a swim in the sea.
Yeah.
There were like 3 or 4 people on that island, whereas 30 years later, there are like 3,000 people coming on that island each day.
Wow.
So it's like over 1 million in 1 year.
Wow.
And all that on a really small island. Now you can snorkel, you can dive, and you party a lot. There are a lot of drugs everywhere.
Yeah.
But this question is, what can tourism cause if there are no limits?
Yes. Well, let's talk.
I wanted to like to think like because what was it seeing a lot of talking about the drunk people and some of the like what was it some of the people looked like either they were on something at least like sweating out something and stuff. I wonder if what it just talked about drug trafficking. So just people bringing that stuff in and ruining communities. It's probably not as heavy an impact, but it's like it's almost like what was it? It probably definitely impacts though different those the bad parts of certain cultures where it's like bringing in different drugs in and stuff like that. I wonder how much that impacts people.
Talk a little bit about the cost because the growth in numbers that you've described is extraordinary. I'm guessing that must have had some environmental impact.
Yeah, definitely. When you come on the island, you wouldn't see it, but as soon as you go in the middle of that island, you would see a huge rubbish pit. You don't really see it on the first place, but it's all hidden there.
Yeah. I mean, some people listening to us might say, you know, everybody's entitled
Holy
to have
shit.
fun and enjoy.
It's layered. It's just layered. Fuck me. I bet that like Oreo pack is like from fucking like 82. That's crazy.
Enjoy themselves. But you know, how do we respond to that? That people are entitled to enjoy themselves.
Everybody is entitled to enjoy themselves, and there are good things about tourism. But what I think is important that you open your mind. You know, everybody who goes to vacation, you want to band out all the problems.
Yeah.
This is the type of guy that I see doing the volunteer tourism. I can very much see him just like, no, I went to South Africa, or I went to parts of Africa and I built kids' wells. Now they have water. It's like, oh, and were you able to drill down and find? So I don't know. I just kind of built the stones around and dug maybe about like 6 feet deep. I got tired. Well, I didn't, but I had some of the local people dig it up, and yeah, now they have a well there, and hopefully one day it could catch the water. Just like okay. It's like his like beach hairdo too. Like he gives me surfer bro type vibes. Like just like what was it? Like I have an indigenous friend kind of thing. This is like I'm a good person, and also like the whole like beach looking household.
Yes.
You know, you have problems in your everyday life, work, job, family, whatever, and when you go to vacation, it's all no. There is a rubbish pit, but I don't care. I just look at the beach. I think you have to open.
Granted, he's probably, he's advocating for something great, so, not trying to rack on him so hard. But the fashion is just like, yeah, you're definitely a certain type of person.
Yourself also do to that things, even when you're on vacation.
Yes.
And you start to do small changes in your behavior.
Yes.
So it's not about not going somewhere. It's about how you go somewhere.
Yes.
Sadly, this is just one of many examples in what the Wall Street Journal described as a global tourism backlash. Thailand was forced to close the beach, made famous by Leonardo DiCaprio's movie. Local people in Japan increasingly describe the effect on their life.
I remember that movie. I remember the specific part of the movie where like he tried to like run off the island, and like he had like a health bar. It like turned into a video game. He's like, darn it, and then like and like he would do that, and like what was it? Didn't he bang the lady from Lord of the Rings? And like he like what was it like? And like one like old boy like grabbed his nuts and said like, if you bang my lady, I'm gonna like hold up. I gotta give her some dignity. I gotta know her name. What was it? Head elf in Lord of the Rings. Who played the head elf? Not wrong. Merlin? No. Oh, please. Wait, was it that lady? Right? Galadriel. Right? Cast, which is roleplay. Main part. Actor, spouse, person. Was actor Kate Blanchett. Did Kate Blanchett play in Kate Blanchett and Leonardo DiCaprio movie? The Aviator. It was just The Aviator? Oh, wait a minute. Who was then? Island movie. The Beach. Okay. It was called The Beach. Who is in The Beach? Oh, Tilda Swinton. That's who he banged. Gotcha. Tilda Swinton. I love them. They're really dope. They were kind of, they were cool in, what was it? And, what was his name? Oh gosh, I'm going to butcher it. What was it? Doctor Strange, even though she was specifically playing in like an Asian character, that's not good, but still. Really like her acting though.
Lives and culture as tourism pollution. Some US national parks started buckling under the strain, and islanders on the Isle of Skye in Scotland called for help after surges in tourism. I spoke to Elizabeth Becker, author of Overbooked, to understand how tourism could have reached this point.
What was it that really drove you to want to write a book about tourism?
I was the international economics correspondent of the Times, the New York Times, as globalization was exploding around the world. What was not being covered, and what seemed to pop up to me all the time, was the fact that the tourism industry seemed to be taking advantage of the new open borders, the new economic system, the new technology, and I didn't see that reported.
Yes. I mean, tourism is the industry that seems to have escaped acknowledgement as an industry or scrutiny as an industry.
Yes, everybody thinks that tourism is a pastime.
Yes.
It's not an industry. Yeah. And a few governments treated it as an industry. It's also that the explosion of the industry was extraordinary.
That reminded me of what was it when it talked about invisible exports and imports. So that's what it was. Is the whole just subject of seeing a place. And
in 1950, there were 25 million tourist arrivals worldwide. This number grew exponentially over the following 70 years and reached 1.3 billion by 2017.
Shit.
It's estimated it will reach 1.7 billion by 2030. Driving this is the exponential growth of global air travel and cruise line passenger numbers.
Thank God for COVID, honestly. Like, we needed a little bit of a break. Granted, maybe, like, you know, having a bunch of people die and having a bunch of governments, aka America, not handling it properly and a lot of people dying, yes, bad thing. But also, you know what? Maybe it's about time. You know, we had a little bit of a kind of a sweep through and stuff. Unfortunately, you know, a lot of innocent people passed, of course, and then now you got just a bunch of dumbasses who don't want to get vaccinated. Get vaccinated. You know, you have a lot of those, a lot of that shit going on and stuff, and people are dying, and that sucks. Because, you know, it's mainly these corporations sending out misinformation. I think that's the main culprit. So, you know, you take your good and bad. Let's finish this thing out.
It seems to me that what we're seeing now all over the world is what happens when an industry which has talked about being sustainable but has actually done very little begins to bump up against the limits of our environment and the physical limits of space. And it's in that sense, I think it's like a rash. It's all over the world.
I believe it's a global emergency. If we don't look more strategically at the question of how to manage destinations, we're going to really destroy an increasing number of the world's most valuable natural and cultural assets.
Doesn't matter if there's a recession. Doesn't matter if it looks like the United States is going to start a war with North Korea. Tourism grows, and it is shock-proof.
No longer a harmless pastime.
True.
Tourism has grown to one of the
with this
biggest
pandemic.
industries in the world, with a far-reaching, potentially destructive impact. Here are some of the key factors influencing this change. The rise
Cheap
of
flights.
low-cost
Talked about
airlines
it.
means that a return flight from the UK to mainland Europe can be as cheap as a couple of pizzas and a glass of beer. Ryanair even have stated their intention to offer free flights. But these super cheap flights are the result of massive tax breaks for the aviation sector. Aviation fuel is exempt from tax. In the UK alone, that's estimated at a £9 billion subsidy.
There it is.
The media has tended to heap praise on the same familiar destinations, and journalists often receive free holidays when writing their reviews.
Far too many travel writers are paid to go to these places by the very people they're supposedly judging. There's always the 10 best, never the 10 worst. So I found too much of travel writing uncritical and corrupt.
We all want to visit the same few places at the same time of year. This concentrates pressure on these honeypot sites. Problems can be created by an extra 100 tourists in a small place or an extra million in a big city. Cruise liners are a source of environmental damage and fly-by tourism, which adds little value to local economies.
I was just about to say, like, when environmental impact, now that we think about it, like, yeah, it has like contributed to greenhouse gases, but now like pushing more onto the fact that it's destroying civilization, actually, it has a huge impact. Like, let alone adding 8%, but also now we're talking about like people trashing other areas and stuff like that. And like the like surge of overpopulation in certain areas for a specific amount of time. It's brutal.
They're like 4 times taller than the buildings around them. I mean, have you seen that coming in? I mean, you just see it and see that that doesn't fit here. Literally, it doesn't fit.
Local people are being pushed out of their own neighbourhoods by a huge surge in house and flat rentals for tourists.
It causes property price inflation, it squeezes people out.
The problem is when the same owner has like 20, 30, 40 apartments on the market.
It was so quick, so fast that cities like Barcelona have been crushed by Airbnb.
Changes in the global population have fueled the explosion in tourist numbers. Every day there are 250,000 more people on the planet, and as the world becomes more affluent, more people join the middle classes.
People need to stop fucking, or at least having children. You can continue fucking. Stop having babies.
China now provides more international tourists than any other country, and yet only 6% of the population have a passport. As the baby boomer generation reaches retirement age, it looks like the pressure on oversaturated destinations will only increase.
Do you think things are going to get worse before they get better in general with the over-tourism issue?
Yes. I think that's without question. I read that the Thailand new minister of tourism said he really doesn't have any idea how to manage the problem, you know, in a country that's a hotspot for the problem, and that he hasn't been trained. And he went public saying, I have no training for this. I became concerned. I find it difficult to find the right nexuses of dialogue right now. That's
Holy shit. You're a minister of tourism? Like, hey, here's the job. Like, no. Damn, that's like for some fast food joint, you go up to the boss and be like, dude, I have no idea what I'm doing. You go up to the press box, and you're just like, no idea. Damn, that's fucked.
That's what I'm a little bit less optimistic about. Where's the nexus of dialogue that's at the scale that we need it now?
So do you think the problem's going to get worse before it gets better?
Yes. Yeah, I do think that the problem will get worse. And unfortunately, I think in many places it will require rebellious tourists. If you remember, Krippendorf talked about the need for rebellious tourists and rebellious locals. Well, we need a bit of rebellion by both those groups to achieve the change. It won't just happen.
The tourism interests are extremely wealthy and powerful.
Yes.
It's as any other power situation where there's a lot of money being made. So I don't want people to beat themselves up, but you are up against some very powerful, wealthy interests who don't want this change.
Do you think that, in some sense, tourism managers have been asleep on the job?
Justin, I'm not sure there's ever been any tourism managers.
Who is in control of the tourism industry? Who has control over it?
Say it.
I think that really no one does.
Well, it's been a while since I've been thinking to give it up. I love the city. I love the way to live here. The way we had to live here now is getting worse and worse. We must be somebody who take decision, and that's the problem. We don't have it.
I think all the residents have facing this big question mark that no matter how much we love the city, we consider our home, we are probably considering moving out to have a simpler life, and with more services and more comfort in the end.
I wanted to come back here, and I'm happy to be here, really happy, and I'm happy that my daughter is growing here. But I don't know how this is gonna end, and I don't know if I'm gonna be here watching that, honestly.
It would be nice if, for at least once,
a good sized like pandemic would just come through and no, not even that, just something otherworldly would just come through and just force people to stay inside. I don't know, maybe it's just wishful thinking. I don't know, that's just me.
the locals were a priority and not the tourists.
Agreed.
Out of respect for the town and its history, but out of respect for people that want to stay here, who do not particularly want to take part in the tourist machine and want to live like Venetians, which is slowly disappearing. We're a bit of an endangered species, if you like. So I like to save the Venetians, really.
We travel to see the world's most remarkable places and people. However, it's now clear that our travels are having a significant impact and that we bear responsibility for this. Local people are calling time on the era of unregulated and unmanaged tourism growth. It now lies with governments to accept the responsibility of management and to recognise there are limits to the number of tourists that can be sustained. The struggle of local people versus the power of the tourism industry is also the struggle to remember the beauty and diversity of our planet. It's the struggle of memory versus forgetting, and one we must all meet.
Oh my god, I feel like I'm in like a 30 seconds to Mars. Take me down. Sorry. Cool. Da-da-da. There you go. Some wild shit. Wild shit. Whew. Hot diggity damn. I think... I was about to say, I think that's going to call it for today. Holy shit, wow. That was a long stream. Goodness. I'm happy we did it. That was fun. But that was a lot. And hey, look at that. You too. You're able to stick around. That's great. But hey. Whew. That was a lot of fun. Learned a lot. We learned a lot about tourism being... I think it was good. It was, we bit off more than we can chew. That's what it was. And, you know, but hey, maybe they looked out. You know, pandemic came through. And we don't know what the impact's going to be. It could be very much just like an arrow. Like 2020 and 2021, it's just that fucking pullback with the arrow. We're just bow. Just shoot it out. I don't know. Hopefully, what was it? Hopefully, in some of these countries that got affected with tourism, hopefully they either were able to recover, or at least be able to prepare, set up regulations, and realize like, hey, we cannot survive this. Like, hopefully, maybe like if anything, they can really push the mask mandates and stuff like that real hard, and a lot of these fines and stuff like that. Hopefully, they work it out. You know, traveling is a privilege. You know, I think more, and like I think that's the thing too. They should promote more local travel and stuff. I think that's the brutal part. There's people that don't leave their front lawns, but would drive down to Florida for a vacation, or fly down to Florida for a vacation. I think that's a big thing. Like a lot of support a lot of more local travel and like help people out through there. Which that's a whole nother conversation. I don't even have no idea to get into. But look at that. I don't know what else we're gonna be streaming on the other week. I would like to stream tomorrow and Wednesday, so we'll try to see what's up. I may continue what we have over here. This bad boy, my little Scully boy right here. I want to draw that son of a bitch, and we gotta color him and finish that up. So we might do that tomorrow. It'll be a short stream, but it'll be a fun one and stuff. I hope you all enjoyed this. All right, we're still gonna get up and raid somebody and stuff like that. And, you know, bring the mood back up. We're gonna go raid shiny sea bass actually, and see how they're doing. Okay. What was that? Doing a little bit of gameplay here. That's cute. I like that. Or what was it? Catechus Flinch, always doing the classic art. We gotta love that. I love that stuff. Here, let's see. What are they playing? Looks like they're playing Undertale. A little bit of Undertale. Cool. All right. Shit. Let's go ahead and let's go see how they're doing. We're gonna go set up a raid on their end, and yeah. Hey. As I'm gonna head on out. I'm gonna set up this raid. But if you all enjoyed this, thank you so much. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe. All right. What was it? If you want to watch this live, come on and join the Twitch and stuff like that. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm also trying to do live stuff on YouTube. More interactive stuff is going to be on the Twitch side with at least the emotes and stuff like that. And yeah, just stay curious and keep learning. All right. All right. Enjoy yourself out there. All right. We'll be back with more Wikipedia articles. There's still so much. You know, there's already endless content. Okay. My name will be and always is Professor Void. And I hope you all have a wonderful day and just stay good to each other and keep learning. All right. Love you all. And I hope you have a wonderful night and a good morning. I'll catch you all later, all right? See ya. That is not the end of the screen. Fuck! What is it? Damn it. Hold up. Wait, this is embarrassing.